Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto White Snake Sage konoha. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Kagaseo and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Only Human? One morning, a very unusual scene caught some attention in the hidden village of Konoha. It all started with an old man, in the merchant district. Some unremarkable fossil in his 60s, with grayish hair and kind blue eyes. He presented himself as a former farmer, now looking for peace and visiting his family in town. He was dressed with poor clothes, and needed a cane to walk straight. He was polite, friendly, and wise. He quickly became a favorite of the merchants there, narrating anecdotes about trees and crops. He could talk hours on how life was at his farm, so much he started a debate with another one that had arrived to sell his products, all over whether pigs were better income than chickens or not. Nobody suspected anything wrong, until the ANBU crashed the party, encircled the man, and slammed his face on the ground, restraining him. It was then, and only then, when the citizens fearfully asked what was happening, that ANBU used a water technique to wash away the man's face. As it turned out, he had dyed his hair white. And used makeup. A lot of makeup. In 10 seconds, the old man left place to a 15 or so years old blonde teen. He grinned ear to ear, and only spoke a single sentence. I'm so going to kill the guy who sold me this crappy hair dye. Oh, and nice work, it took you, 2 days to find me. And no excuse, I left you hints. Nobody truly understood what had happened that day, even if all the citizens of adult age knew the blonde boy as Uzumaki Naruto, the single most hated teen in the country. For civilians, it was all a prank. To the ANBU, it was a humiliation. To the Hokage, it was an amusing moment. To Naruto, it was his long-awaited graduation. Hokage's office. The Sandaime was deeply conflicted between laughing over the situation or sighing in disappointment. Peace had worn his people's vigilance. The forbidden scroll been stolen, by a genin candidate, of all people. Now tell me, Naruto, how did you manage to steal the forbidden scroll, kept by the ANBU and the Inuzuka police force, without getting thrown in jail? Easy. The blonde didn't seem bothered by the fact the ANBU present were glaring potently at his back and leaking killing intent. He was perfectly calm, and still wearing the old clothes Sarutobi had given him for the sake of his graduation test. The third patrol always takes a break of 10 minutes near 1 o'clock in the afternoon, to drink coffee. I just had to slip in and replace the scroll with a replica. Sarutobi had actually chuckled when he had opened the fake scroll and discovered it completely blank, save for the boy's signature. He had been deeply impressed at that moment before realizing a teen could easily steal one of the village's most prized weapon and get away with it. The Inuzuka didn't pick up your scent? He silently promised himself to have a word with the third patrol, who was shifting uncomfortably in the background. I put the scroll in the trash and disguised myself as one of the workers in charge of emptying them. The blonde grinned, crossing his fingers in a bossy manner. Some perfume and the dogs didn't recognize me. Makeup, faking a cough and a different way of walking fooled their human partners. Hidden in plain sight indeed. And the scroll? Gave it to Iruka-sensei, playing the role of the accomplice. He could have left Konoha any time, and nobody would have been fooled. By staying in the village and leaving hints I was still present, the police focused on tracking me and didn't consider I had actually handed the scroll to someone else first, and was only buying him time. Naruto then proceeded to humiliate nearly all the ninjas present with 2 fingers and 3 sentences. Took you 2 days to catch up. And remember, I left you hints. I signed my crime. As killing intent skyrocketed in the room, Sarutobi calmed everyone into obedience with a glare. The mere aura of the god of shinobi forced every ninja in the room to back down in fear, including the blonde braggart. Get out, all of you. Naruto is mine to punish. In 10 seconds flat, the door closed, leaving them alone. The Hokage stared at the teen. Naruto stared back. After a short silence, they broke off laughing. Too bad I can't see past their masks. Their faces must have been priceless. The blonde chuckled, having dropped his former aloofness. Now we're both wonderful actors, aren't we, old man? I must ask, did you mimic anyone? Sarutobi chuckled. Or was it all yours? The I'm so awesome I can boast you to death anytime moment? The prankster smirked widely. All mine. I did steal a few faces from Uchiha asshole Sasuke. Sarutobi shook his head. He could understand the bitter enmity between those two. Sasuke was everything his adoptive grandson had ever wanted to be, and would never be. The Sandaime had almost fired the examiner who had proposed putting these two in the same team. True, it was a tradition to put the Rookie of the Year and dead last in the same team for balance, a tradition many had criticized due to the usual bad chemistry between those two places. The resulting tension was sometimes appeased by the middle genin, or ended with teams dissolving. Sarutobi had taken no risk this time. Sasuke and Naruto would be at each other's throat within a day if left together. It was especially problematic since the last Uchiha needed protection, for his lineage had to be preserved. The village's biologists had attempted to safeguard some genetic material to recreate the clan in time, but the progresses in the field weren't important. A living heir able to procreate would have more results. Sasuke Uchiha had to stay alive until puberty, and being in Naruto's team would reduce his lifespan drastically. I must tell you this, Naruto, I am impressed. He hadn't taken the teen seriously when he had assured him that he could steal the artifact without anyone noticing. In fact, the Sandaime had thought it to be an impossible occurrence. Of course, the Uzumaki had always had access to the Hokage Tower, so had more knowledge than most infiltrators. Sarutobi had to convince himself it wouldn't happen again. Then, old man Naruto crossed his fingers, his eyes full of hope. Does it mean I pass? The tone carried a fear-laden undercurrent. Sarutobi couldn't blame him. The boy had failed the exam 2 times already, and the Hokage was pretty convinced he would have failed again had he taken the usual academy test. Due to his peculiar state, the blonde lacked the latent taijutsu potential the examiners had recognized in Rock Lee, which, combined with his good academic grades, had allowed him to pass and join Mato Gai's team. Naruto, by all margins, couldn't be a ninja, yet Sarutobi believed in him. He could see the determination, the potential, the sharp mind under the usually carefree demeanor. Naruto would at least be a good ninja, perhaps an excellent one. As such, when the teen had come to him directly for a chance to be judged on the Hokage's terms and not the academy's program, Sarutobi had tasked him to steal the forbidden scroll. The old man hadn't expected his adoptive grandchild to succeed, but he would have examined his efforts and evaluated them at their worth. Oh boy, he hadn't been disappointed. Yes. The word was simple, and Naruto beamed in joy. Yes, you pass. With flying colors. Carefully, the Sandaime took off his own headband and handed it to Naruto. The now Genin's face was priceless. It's yours. Mine? You mean like mine? His eyes were wide open. The Hokage's headband? Sarutobi quickly gave a correction. Sarutobi Hiruzen's headband. I received it from the Nidaime Hokage, and now, I believe it would be justice for you to receive it. You deserve it. After all, Naruto had been chosen as sacrifice since birth, and was only rewarded with a demon's curse and loneliness. He deserved far more than just a headband. The genin took the gift with utmost care, staring at it for minutes in silence. Some part of him wanted to say he didn't deserve such honor. He would wear this precious headband with pride and dignity, and take it as a sign of eternal success. He had waited years for this. 2 times had he made a grab at graduating, only to fail both times. At 15, 2 years later than the average genin, he had become a full shinobi. He had been humiliated, exhausted, but he had made it to the end of his curriculum. I will not fail, he spoke, putting the headband over his forehead. I will become unrivaled under the sun. I promise, Sarutobi smiled. Do you remember the Nindo? I don't remember the Nindo. I am the Nindo. The blonde crossed his arm and started reciting his personal creed. Be efficient. Be determined. Always have a plan. At Ichiraka's ramen stand. I did it, Iruka-sensei. Naruto proudly showed the instructor his new headband. I fucking did it. All thanks to you. The new genin had decided to wear a work-only outfit for this occasion. The costume was composed all black and made of cotton, and composed of boots, trousers, a jacket, a belt, and protective arm and hand sleeves. Iruka was aware the outfit had many pockets hidden everywhere, and needed a hood to be truly completed. It was something he had gifted to the boy 1 year ago, as consolation for his second failed graduation. The mysterious, full bag he was carrying, however, the Chunin gave him a warm smile, deeply happy for his student. I didn't do much, he admitted, scratching the back of his neck in an awkward manner. To be honest, Naruto skipped most classes, save for the kunai throwing and taijutsu lessons. Avoiding classes that would not have helped with his graduation at all. What you did it on your own. Naruto shook his head. I couldn't have gotten as far as I did without you, sensei. As Ayam and Tuchi came to the bar to hand them free ramen bowls, the blonde smiled at them too. And neither would have I without your support. You're too kind, Ayam grinned widely. I hope you intend to drop by from time to time? If you're on missions, you might be away for months. It was obvious. Naruto liked to deign himself as an infiltration-oriented shinobi, and as such would probably be sent on long-term spying missions. I will return as often as I can, he promised. You're always welcome, as our best customer, Tuchi suddenly cut in. And because I like you personally, Naruto was touched. He hadn't made many friends due to his little demonic tenant. Scratch that, the only people he could call friends were the Hokage, the people present for this little celebration, and a team that should arrive soon. Plus, he wasn't a fool. He knew his presence had affected the restaurant's reputation, and insisted on paying the 2 back. He stared around himself, sure no one would interrupt the moment, and opened his bag. Here are little gifts I brought for you all, for being all around nice people. A golden bowl for Tuchi, a bouquet of flowers for Ayam, and an Hot Spring Life membership card for Iruka. My favorites. Ayam blushed slightly, humming the perfume. How did you know? Naruto grinned and struggled to find a good lie. In fact, he had basically stalked her, asked everyone she knew on her preferences, sometimes under disguises, and then went on to ask advice from Ino, which had been a horribly bad idea, as she kept pestering him on his secret girlfriend for hours. The next day, the entire class was speaking about it when he bothered not to skip lessons. Why were gossips so goddamn fast at spreading rumors? I have my ways. Ominous tone? Check. Arising her suspicion? Check 2. If you want to date my daughter, you only had to ask, Tuchi teased him ruthlessly. If Ayume's angry expression was of any indication, she didn't appreciate her father's remark. Truth to be told, Naruto had some sort of crush on the older girl. How couldn't he? She was the only girl willing to spend time with him when he was Naruto, and not some disguise. He had thought about actually trying to court her in practice, but something always prevented him from making a move. He was a demon vessel, he mentally corrected himself. The whole town was making the same mistake, and the restaurant already had a bad reputation due to his frequent visits there. If Ayume was willing to date him, and that was a big if, there would inevitably be bloodshed due to him. So no girlfriend. Naruto-kun. A familiar voice caught his attention. A boy in green spandex landed right next to him. Dynamic entry, Rock Lee shouted, completely oblivious to everyone's shocked face, and presenting a thumbs up. Sorry, I'm so late, Naruto-kun. A older, certainly not wiser version of Rock Lee entered the restaurant, backed by 2 genin. Team 9 had finally arrived. My apologies for the delay. We had to make a report to Hokage-sama on our latest mission. That, and I convinced them not to give you a spandex suit for your graduation, Tenten deadpanned, politely greeting the blonde and the rest of the people present. Hyuga Niji simply gave a sharp nod to the new genin. It seems it was indeed your fate to succeed, in spite of your shortages, he whispered, making Naruto twitch. The two had never really gotten along, as Naruto disliked the Hyuga's arrogance and natural talent, finding him to be everything he would never be. That, and his fatalistic beliefs were truly annoying. Of course, it didn't prevent the both of them from having some ounce of respect for the other. Naruto admired Niji's will to succeed, even if he was only considered a slave by the main branch, and Niji had told him he was impressively talented for someone born to fail. It was the closest thing to a compliment Niji could ever give. I must congratulate you for your graduation. Marugai smiled widely, giving the team the nice guy pose. Naruto-kun, your fires of youth shall shine brightly. Naruto-kun, I expected nothing less from my rival. Rock Lee spoke. Our next spar shall decide our fate. Let's show him our fire, Lee. Yes, Guy-sensei. The scene was followed by a horrible sunset genjutsu set to incredibly bad music. As the spandex monsters started hugging each other with tears in their eyes, the rest couldn't help but cringe. When you think of it, it's really the only genjutsu Guy ever mastered, Naruto mused. Tenten lost no time in teasing him. So, I guess your spars are 50-50? What was it last time? Staying still as long as possible. Actually, it was scroll log shuriken. Of course, Lee always asked crazy stuff like running around konoha 50 times on one foot, so Naruto balanced with simple, sometimes random activities. According to Guy, his personal rival had a similar outlook on their youthful competition. To sum up, spandex made people completely out of their gourd. Anyway, I would like to thank you all for your support and the remedial classes you gave me, Naruto announced, remembering the many times he had participated with Team 9's training exercises. In fact, he could almost be considered an extra member. The new genin, after his first failed graduation, had found himself in their class last year. The only one he befriended during school was Lee, after finding him training alone. Naruto couldn't really put a name on how their friendship started. He guessed it had been natural for deadlasts to stick together. Even more since they had a similar condition, although Lee at least had chakra to reinforce his muscles. Naruto didn't even have that. After Lee graduated thanks to his latent potential for taijutsu and good grades, Naruto kept meeting him, and was introduced to his team. Guy had apparently been informed of his curse, and had taken an immediate liking to him. The Jounin had even given supplementary taijutsu classes. True, the blonde would never surpass anybody competent in the field due to lack of strength. But hey, it was the thought that mattered. Tenten had been easy to befriend. They had never talked at school, due to mutual lack of interest in the other. When Lee had introduced him to Team 9, she struck him as the most normal member. She didn't wear spandex, and didn't have an enslaving seal over her forehead. As she was the daughter of one of the weapon seller in town, he usually met her when he was on errands. Her father had warmed up considerably to him when he saw the two bickering playfully, and proceeded to lower his prices a bit. Naruto had become his best customer hereafter. As for Niji, when the first thing he had said was worthless failure, he had earned a broken nose and a blow to his pride. They had proceeded to beat the crap out of each other until Guy separated them. Yes, what a fantastic way to start a friendship. Because it was a friendship. True, anyone outside the team would only hear insults or thinly veiled death threats. However, the Hyuga and the Jinchuriki shared a thing in common, being born with a seal that screwed their life over since the very beginning. They expressed their bitterness in different ways, not being wealthy enough to take anger management classes. After a few months of regular jabbing spars, punches and kicks, they managed to reach some level of understanding under the sun, bloodied and bruised. Or maybe was it the multiple blows to the brain that made them a little more warmer, mixed with some exhaustion-induced crappy dialogues and revelations about the nature of the universe. So, they went from enemies to best enemies. I've got gifts for you all. For a second, remorse and shame almost made Naruto back down. It was cruel, horrible, nasty, crazy. Niji and Tenten would hate his gut, and never talk to him ever again. Nah, they're just going to sulk in a corner for a month or so. The youthful gift that will make the fires of your youth even brighter. Tenten's expression crumbled in horror, and Niji's eyes widened. Orange spandex for all of you. The next day, in the Hokage's office, sweat dropping from his forehead, the Hokage deepened on his seat. The graduation photo was horrible. Naruto, he whispered, trying to chase away the terrible image from his mind and forget it altogether. Did you really have to cross-dress? This photo will follow you for a long, long time. What, don't you like my sexy no jutsu? The teen had dropped the sinister, shameful disguise for an equally horrible orange jumpsuit too small for his size, and a green bag. I put some effort into it. Sarutobi repressed the urge to cringe. Anyone would have been fooled indeed. The wig, makeup, and fake breasts had turned the prankster into a cute, adorable girl, which made it ever creepier. The Hokage made a mental note to prevent Jiraiya from ever learning of this event. I have both bad news and great news for you. The Sandaime took his breath. The good news is, you're not going to be in Sasuke's team. Yes. Naruto jumped on place. Which team do I get? Kurenai's? Do I replace Kiba in the roster? The Sandaime's eyes narrowed. The temperature had dropped to near zero. Yet the blonde didn't seem bothered in the slightest. Naruto, who told you the team's formation? Only the jounin and instructors had access to this information. Whoever blurted out the beans would soon be in a world of hurt. Simple deduction, actually. Naruto took a black book from under his jumpsuit. Sarutobi instantly recognized the reproduction of the bingo book. From what I had gathered on Kurenai Yuhi, she's an expert at genjutsu and infiltration, but had stated more than once her desire to teach. After analyzing the profiles of my comrades, I realized Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame and Kiba Inuzuka would make an excellent scouting and tracking team. A genjutsu expert would complete the formation, and your reaction just confirmed my suspicions. I guess I was drafted in Kiba's place? No. The teen had been right on almost everything. The Sandaime had figured any tracking team needed some cover, which Kurenai could provide by casting a genjutsu on her team. Plus, due to her mother-like personality, he believed she could have the Aburame and Hyuga grow out of their social inexperience. Seeing the Hyuga era's position, a mother figure would be very welcomed. Due to your peculiar skills, you are oriented for stealth operations, infiltration, and assassination. The Hokage locked eyes with the boy, activities that must never be made public. If the rest of your class is the tree we show to the world, you have to be the root in the darkness, supporting it. Having caught his adoptive grandson's attention, the Sandaime gave details. Most people think we hidden villages are composed of showy mercenaries doing heroic, story-inspiring deeds. This is wrong. This is only one aspect of the village, the smokescreen that hides the secret war we are waging every day with our competitors. To preserve peace and the prosperity of our citizens, we have to dirty our hands. Our economy is built on attracting clients that would hire us instead of neighboring states like Sunagakure. As such, we have to show our talent and efficiency through chunin exams. Our prodigies, like the last Uchiha and Niji Hyuga, are the showcase of Konoha. They are good, some of them will be renowned ninjas, but they won't be anywhere as useful as some other shinobi the world has never heard of. The blonde nodded. The ANBU. The ANBU is the elite of the secret army of Konoha, the one never shown to the population. They are many, they are everywhere. Spies, assassins, saboteurs, black ops. They are the reason why Konoha hasn't collapsed, and we must stay weary if we want to secure our place in the ninja world. And this army needs you, an individual who does not kill with fireballs, but with poison. Who steals secrets for us to feed on. Revealing you to the world would be unwise. And the Kyuubi? Aren't we supposed to show we still have it? Naruto, foreign Kage learned of your existence the very day I passed the law of silence. It was inevitable. Konoha had been infiltrated, and still was. Just as Konoha had agents in other countries, foreign powers had ears and eyes inside these walls. We have the Kyuubi in a mature container. Just as Kyumo has more than one, they won't expect you to be trained as an undercover agent, and you could be a trump card if the Ninetales is deployed inside enemy borders. I doubt the fox bastard would do anything for us. Naruto's head jerked to the side in an uncomfortable manner. It already gave me the middle finger the moment I was born. Sarutobi couldn't help but wince. He had been present during the fateful medical examination that had crushed all Naruto's hopes of becoming Hokage. He had had his medic means repeat the process twice for the same result. According to them, the Kyuubi's chakra was leaking into the boy's system, as the Yondaime had probably expected. Sarutobi wasn't the best seal master around, Jiraiya having taken the spot, yet he was somewhat familiar with the Uzumaki arrays. Minato had based the dead-consuming seal off of the one Kushina had bore. Like Kushina's, the seal would allow the Kyuubi to help in case of extreme danger for its host, or to start rampages. However, the Kyuubi had apparently learned the lesson well enough. Its chakra had deteriorated to Tenketsu points to complete uselessness. Even if he could walk, even if he still had the Kyuubi's chakra giving him a healing factor by running in his deteriorated system in small amount, Naruto couldn't produce any chakra of his own. In short, Naruto was a human born without chakra. It had been a complete disaster. A demon vessel without chakra, save what the Kyuubi could provide, wasn't as useful as Konoha's secret weapon should have been. Danzo had even proposed to remove the beast and put it into another container, a notion Sarutobi rejected. Konoha in its entirety had a debt toward the blonde's sacrifice, and the Hokage was going to honor it no matter what. That, and if the Kyuubi could do it once, it would happen again. The reason behind the Kyuubi's actions had been clear. The demon probably intended to make its host dependent on it to defend himself, increasing its chances of escape. That, or it did it out of sheer spite. Either option was believable. Sadly, the news had devastated the blonde. Sarutobi had found him crying and depressed, unable to find a reason to move on. The Hokage consoled him and gave him hope. It was this day he introduced him to the Nindo. Back when samurai ruled supreme and the great sage hadn't taught the world ninjutsu, the original shinobi were nothing like the current generation of ninjas. Their strength was nothing greater than what a civilian could achieve, and they served as assassins and spies for the warlords of the era. They were non-entities, nameless shadows crawling in the dark. The documentation on them had been scarce, and few accounts of their prowess had reached their successors. Fortunately, their Nindo, the code of conduct that guided their discipline, had reached them. It was this Nindo that inspired Naruto to persevere in his efforts. Be efficient, be determined, always have a plan, Sarutobi spoke. Tell me, Naruto, what is your goal? The blonde shrugged nonchalantly. To live up to the Nindo. To prove I am not powerless. To become the best. To kick your ass. Then I shall offer you a chance to reach your dream. Sarutobi closed his eyes, inwardly chuckling. Infiltrators are never allowed to form teams, for they might be identified by turncoats. They are formed under the regime of apprenticeship. A shinobi of Konoha specialized in the trade will teach you, and you will serve under this instructor until your promotion to Chunin by said examiner. If you are promoted and impress me, and I know you will, I shall consider you for joining the ANBU, even with your shortages. Naruto looked like a man with a lifelong dream in sight. How long will it take? To become a Chunin? As long as your tutor sees fit. Seeing who had been selected as the boy's superior, Sarutobi had the feeling it wouldn't take long. Either she failed him, or forced an intense, accelerated training regimen on him. You will have to endure, I'm afraid. Naruto winced. Why do I have the feeling I'm in for a world of pain? You are, Sarutobi chuckled. Your superior is an excellent kunoichi, efficient, and renowned for her sadism. She's the tough kind of teacher. The very, very tough kind. If you have read the bingo book, you should be able to guess who I'm talking about. Naruto paled in dread. You didn't. Yes. Yes, I did. At that instant the chosen tutor decided to crash the party. By breaking through the window and landing on the Hokage's desk. Head up, boy. A woman shouted, much to Naruto's amazement and Sarutobi's amusement. I'm your tutor, Anko Mitarashi. I don't have time to waste, so let's take a little, easy, Anko-style test. Sarutobi would cherish the memory of Naruto's face until his death. Forest of Death. The Hokage was going to pay for this. Anko didn't like teaching. After her disastrous study period under the snake bastard, she had cast aside any thought of leading a team. She feared becoming just a tutor that was just as bad as Orochimaru had been, and her personality wasn't a pleasant one. She was blunt, straight to the point, sarcastic, and not a people person. Yet, the Sandaime had insisted she tried to pass on her secrets, and take an apprentice. All those who had been proposed had been wimps who quickly abandoned any idea of working under her. Naruto Uzumaki would be no exception. As I don't like introducing myself to someone I may not keep, here is the deal. I will assess your skills, intelligence, resourcefulness. If you impress me, I keep you, we present each other's, and you get to buy me some dango. No, I only buy ramen. I don't like dango. Everyone loves dango, for dango is awesome, Anko shot back, glaring at the orange target as if he had just said a blasphemy. His horrible jumpsuit was truly getting on her nerves. Maybe she should paint it red? I beg to disagree. Ramen gives meaning to an empty life. The runt sighed. So, since we're in a bad place, as it's called the Forest of Death, I suppose it's a survival exercise, crazy sensei? Anko grinned ear to ear. Crazy sensei, eh? He would be hurt a lot. It's simple, really. I give you a head start of 10 minutes. Afterward I hunt you down, and we beat each other with lethal force. If you survive I keep you. Naruto laughed. And if I accidentally kill you, then you'd get promoted to Jounin immediately. Why did she get the feeling she was going to regret those words? The boy's subsequent smirk was somewhat creepy. So 3, 2, 1, go. He ran away. Anko proceeded to patiently wait for the next 10 minutes, observing her surroundings for any hint of orange. She hadn't even bothered to read the reports on the team, and had no idea of his abilities. In her mind, a live test was always better than academy reports. After all, supposedly talented genin generally chickened out quite fast. Plus, she had the advantage of knowing the forests perfectly. She had impressive knowledge of the fauna and flora, the location of the best hiding spots as she stared at the big trees. The special Jounin truly felt in her territory. The very second the 10 minutes ended, she heard the distinct sound of a projectile flying through the air towards her back. Spinning on herself, Anko deflected the attack with a shuriken. The projectile, which turned out to be an arrow, landed a few meters away from the kunoichi, piercing the muddy soil. Anko suddenly realized it was laced with a dozen explosive tags. Jumping as fast as she could toward a tree's branch, the lady barely avoided the massive explosion that followed. Why didn't I sense? Oh, I see. He didn't use chakra to activate the tags, he lightened them manually. He must have a lighter on him. Moving quickly, she approached the area where the arrow came from, and noticed an orange spot on a tree's bark. Wary, Anko discreetly tossed a few shuriken at it, expecting a trap. Boy, not only was it not the brat, just a log dressed with the jumpsuit, but resting alongside it was an explosive belt, full of what Anko identified as dynamite by scent. After the ensuing explosion destroyed the nearest trees and causing them their remnants to collapse towards the forest floor, Anko decided to take the blonde seriously from that point on. I admit, I didn't expect dynamite, she shouted, trying to goad him into giving away his location. You do know it's highly impracticable, right? Dynamite was the stereotypical mining tool, and mostly used by civilians. Powerful and efficient for large-scale destruction, it was however far less precise, handy, and a lot heavier than explosive tags. Most explosion-oriented ninja favored customized tags over such explosives, as they could be just as strong and easier to manipulate. Using dynamite in open air generally didn't work well, in fact, as the force dispersed instead of being focused on a point. She guessed this genin didn't get the memo. Or didn't have good tags. Gracefully regaining her footing on the soil below, the kunoichi noticed the strange softness of the ground. Performing a shunshin and switching places with a remote rock, she managed to avoid death by landmine. He trapped the whole field? In 10 minutes? Anko gave into a psychotic laugh. Yes, this would be amusing. A slight movement in the bushes, and a dagger pierced the air aiming for her throat. Dropping her previous laziness, the female ninja focused and caught the attacker's arm. The runt had dropped his orange jumpsuit for an outfit covering all his body, save the eyes, which were protected by goggles. The outfit's color meshed well with the vegetation, an excellent camouflage. Alright, he had common sense. The teen's uncaught arm sprung, a kunai in hand. It was a perfect motion for gutting bellies open. Truly, it was all beautiful. The speed, the gracefulness, the killing intent. Anko swiftly released his arm and kicked him away. The genin grumbled and silently assaulted her again, swinging his weapons. A wise move, as knives and daggers gave a better reach and caused wounds more easily than punches. Unfortunately for the runt, Orochimaru's former student was far more experienced than he was. With careful, fast strikes to the runt's wrists, she forced him to drop his weapons. He replied with a guy-style roundhouse kick to her face. The sheer force of the surprise attack propelled her away from him, causing her to land on her back. Hitting the soil, the kunoichi immediately regained her momentum, rolling to avoid a volley of shuriken. She gritted her lower lip and tasted her own blood. As it turned out, the kick had been powerful enough to draw the first blood. Alright, no more joking around, she snarled, taking a drop of the crimson nectar and using the summoning jutsu. A powerful, green boa popped up in a cloud of smoke and sprung, its maw opened. At the same time, Anko threw a kunai at the speed of the wind, pinpointing the runt's chest. When she realized she was using lethal force on a genin, worse, the village's demon vessel, she cringed, only to see the runt pull something incredibly awesome. First, he welcomed the snake with a second roundhouse kick. The poor reptile was sent crashing into a tree's trunk. Next, still spinning on himself, Naruto dodged the kunai. Then, he extended his arm and caught the weapon's hand grip midair. Finally, he threw it right at Anko's face, who barely dodged. The lethal projectile splintered a tree's bark upon impact. Alright, it was impressive. The kunoichi crossed her arms. That stunt could have killed her, if she didn't have excellent reflexes. I'm keeping you. No need to continue fighting. He didn't drop his guard. Drop your guard. Sorry, ma'am, I've read your bingo book entry. Since I kicked you in the face, I will assume it's a tactic to gut me until the Sandaime Hokage personally confirms I'm now your apprentice and safe from your bloodthirst. Anko gave into a psychotic smirk. Boy, someday, I will taste the blood from your cute little cheek, and you're never safe from me. Of course, she didn't really enjoy blood well, not that much. It was mostly done for intimidation. Now, present yourself completely. Name, likes, dislikes, hobbies, goal in life. The genin shuddered. You're insanely creepy. And I have seen Guy. Well, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, the best color of all, orange, chemistry, weapons, and socializing. I dislike pricks, most bloodline wielders, and laziness. My hobbies are training, pulling pranks, inventing things, botany, blowing up walls, and looking for platypuses. My goal in life? He chuckled through his hood, the sound a mere whisper. Kicking everybody's ass, starting with yours. Anko laughed, amused by the teen's galls. You still have a long way to go. I wasn't fighting seriously. Scratch that, it was a cakewalk. Neither was I, but I admit, in a straight fight, you would have trashed me. He snorted. Fortunately, I never fight straight, crazy sensei. The name is Anko Mitarashi. She was so going to give him a horrible nickname. I like dango, snakes, sharpened kunai, and I'm starting to like you. Somehow that creeps me out even more. I dislike being interrupted, she glared at him, and I like castrating guys. Especially guys who interrupt me. Hint? Well and duly noted. I also dislike, well, jerks, orange, ramen, and socializing. My main hobbies are conducting tea ceremonies, and my goal in life is to kill my former teacher with my bare hands. Orochimaru? He cowered at Anko's sudden potent glare. What? Mitarashi Anko's entry in the bingo book mentioned you were his apprentice before he turned turncoat. I can understand how you feel. I've got a homicidal grudge against some demon myself. He knew of the QB? Even if a part of her struggled to tell him, he would never understand what she had been trough under the snake bastard. Another, more rational, pointed out he, like her, had had a seal applied to her body and that ruined most of their career. For all his nastiness and insanity, Orochimaru hadn't chosen her as apprentice for nothing. She had been the top kunoichi of her generation, a child prodigy with a great talent for learning. Under the snake's tutelage she had progressed. She had strived to succeed and surpassed all expectations, until he infected her neck with the cursed seal. The shameful taint forever marked her as unreliable, for Orochimaru could always manipulate it from afar. As such, her progress in the hierarchy slowed to a near stall, as a possible unwilling spy for the snake. Worse, the cursed seal's recurrent interference with her chakra had forced her to redo most of the basics, to start back from scratch. Her reputation been nearly destroyed and had alienated her from most of the population. In fact, she could count her friends on the finger of a hand. Their respective situations were disturbingly similar. Well, Anko forced a smirk on her face. Why not discussing revenge plots around Dango? You bring the food, I bring the ideas. Deal. Naruto's apartment. Name, Anko Mitarashi, may have aliases. Code name is Viper. Birthdate, October 24th. Gender female. Age 24. Height, 167 centimeters. Weight, 45.8 kilograms. Blood type A. Occupation, Chunin examiner, probably cover for other activities. Obvious infiltration specialist. Affiliation, Konoha. Team, former apprentice of Orochimaru. Suspect links with the ANBU. Ninja rank, special jounin, again, probable smokescreen. Ninja registration, 011226. Academy grad. Age 10, Chunin prom. Age 12, affinities fire and earth. Ninjutsu 3.5 strange, she seems better at it than Genjutsu. Taijutsu 2.5 good, but not exceptional. Lee would kick her ass in a Taijutsu spar. Genjutsu 4, haven't seen it in action. Then again, Genjutsu doesn't work on me. Lacking chakra has advantages, when illusions work by using the enemies against him. Intelligence 2, I would say 3.5 passing as 2 to be underestimated. Strength 3 again, good but not exceptional. Speed 3, maybe 3.5 to 4, she has good reflexes. Stamina 4, nearly as much as myself? How the hell is it possible? Must investigate. Hand seals 3 above average. Total 25, more likely around 29 to 30. Probably hides skills for infiltration purposes. Techniques, snake summoner, poison, weapon, and trapping expert. Infiltration expert, good at intimidation, may have experience with torture. Who the hell wrote this crappy entry and forgot that? Personality assessment, shows hints of sadistic and histrionic personality disorder. Shows extreme lack of maturity. Attention seeker, the fishnet is too revealing, she's letting people see. Obvious bloodlust, probably not faked. May get perverse, sinful pleasure from pain. Must keep distance, and show no wound. May try sucking my blood like a vampire. Probably tactic for intimidation. Or she's a vampire. A female snake vampire ninja hybrid. Useful notes 1. Shows signs of fake cheerfulness. Boisterous facade. Has issues and obsessive grudge against Orochimaru. Must never mention him. Snake fetishist, Dango addict. Must approach Dango stores with extreme caution from now if I want to keep funds. Offer Dango as peace offering, in case of argument, or BR. So mini guy would kick my ass at Taijutsu? Anko asked, making Naruto jump out of his seat in surprise. His chair fell on the ground, along with his pen. How the hell did she manage to sneak up on him, especially so late in the night? It was the time nearly all his traps were activated and kicking. Worse, the kunoichi didn't even look tired or bothered in the slightest. Is it usual for you to break into people's houses? Have you no sense of personal space? Actually no. Anko sat on the table, next to Naruto's updated bingo book. I'm your sensei, remember? We're going to spend much time together from now on. She gave him a playful, disturbing smile and adopted a sensual pose. Plus, many people would be happy to have a hot woman like me seeing them in the middle of the night. Only sadomasochists. You're goddamn creepy. Sorry, I'm not interested. He glared at her. How did you disable my traps? Boy, I'm the one who invented most of the traps featured in Konoha's books, she boasted. Of course I can disable them. The kunoichi locked eyes with him. Explosive traps on the doors, kunai launchers in the corridors, and you reinforce your apartment's walls and gate with iron plaques. And nobody other than you lives there. I needed space. It hadn't been hard to buy the building. His personal apartment had been allowed by the Sandame, and the other residents had preferred moving on elsewhere than share the place with the demon vessel. The price of the building had been reduced to a quarter of its former value, and obtaining the place under a fake identity had been easy. As Anko made clear she wasn't going to leave without a visit, Naruto was forced to oblige. While his apartment contained the bare minimum for a living, the others had been developed into different laboratories. One, abandoned, was his former sealing atelier. He had tried to perfect the art, but his lack of chakra and the sheer complexity of the theories behind forced him to give up. For the moment, anyway. One was mainly remodeled for chemistry experiments. Full of bottles of various chemical concoctions, alongside new types of explosives. Due to the big unpredictability of dynamite, and its tendency to explode a bit too easily for his liking, he had tried synthesizing a new, more reliable substance. His pet project, which he called plastic, still needed improvement, but would no doubt be awesome. After all, IWA did manage to create a variant. His progress in creating detonators had however been nearly non-existent. He was tired of igniting his tags with a lighter. It was dangerous for his health. He had also managed to install a zoo of venomous animals. Mostly spiders and snakes, much to Anko's rage. The blonde hoped to import a platypus one day and extract his venom. He had never seen a venomous mammal before. That, and a pet guard platypus would be awesome. Finally, he showed her his wardrobe. I see you have a lot of suits. Anko's understatement made the teen laugh. He had about 14 variants of the black working suit Irika had offered him. Some were customized to allow good camouflage and thermal protection in snow or deserts. He also had a collection of civilian clothes with hidden pockets, fake priest robes, and an impressive number of disguises. Alongside nearly every weapon in existence, and makeup. And experimental latex masks that never worked. I have a garden of medicinal herbs, but it is somewhere else, he spoke. There is also my personal study, with a lot of books on subjects going from warfare to astronomy to maps, alongside a collection of paintings I acquired for reconnaissance purpose. That should be all. How the hell did you gather so many toys? Anko blurted in surprise. An orphan like Yusari shouldn't have that much money. And how did you get a bingo book? For the bingo book, I found it in the Hokage's Tower archives when I was preparing my graduation. I read it, and copied it when I returned home. I remembered a lot of details I missed the first time. Anko's face was priceless. I theorized the Kyuubi's chakra, outside ruining my life, also reinforced neural connections, giving me photographic memory. That, or I'm just born lucky. The demon vessel then smirked. As for the funds with photographic memory, it was easy to win large sums in casinos under a fake identity. Counting cards is as easy as breathing. That, and poker was a good training for analyzing people's expressions. If her face was of any indication, Anko duly noted that little tidbit for a later use. I just signed my eternal exploitation. I have invented a new ninja art. He gave her a nice guy pose. Kashjutsu. The pun was so horrible he could hear Anko's teeth grinding against each other. For some reason, it amused him to no end. It seems I will have to update your sheet already, Anko smirked, taking a scroll in her pocket and handing it to him. Here is your official genin degree. Only I and the Sandame have access to it, until you get registered in the bingo book. Some information will probably be forged in time for greater security. Naruto took the scroll, opened it, and read. Name Naruto Uzumaki. Codename Atlas. Birthdate October 10th. Gender male. Age 15. Height 166 centimeters. Weight 50.9 kilograms. Blood type B. Classification Demon Vessel of the Kyuubi. Affiliation Konoha. Team The Wonderfully Awesome Anko Sensei's Apprentice. Maybe Uzumaki Clan. Ninja rank Genin. Ninja registration 012607. Academy grad. Age 15. Affinities none. Ninjutsu 0. Taijutsu 3. Shows Chunin level skills. Genjutsu 0. Intelligence 4. Good trapper. Has common sense tricky. Strength 3.5. Shows sign of extreme training. Speed 3.5. Good agility, momentum and reflexes. Stamina 5. Can pack a lot of blows without showing signs of wounds. Has healing factor, which according to the Hokage only kicks in near death. Hand seal 0. Total 19. Chunin level threat, ruthless, efficient, and tricky. Techniques, excellent at camouflage, trapping, planning. Freakish good aim with a bow and thrown weapons. Experienced knife fighter and good, bastardized taijutsu style. Damned guy. Explosive user. Still has to assess infiltration skills. Who cares about chakra anyway? Poisoned kanai are cooler. Personality assessment, ruthless, sarcastic, carefree. Shows no problem with attempted murder, may have lack of empathy. Shows some pragmatism and viciousness. Good self-control and patient. Intelligent. Complete opposite of Academy reports. Added notes. Atlas shows a ramen addiction, an obsession with the color orange. Highly competitive. Must kick his ass regularly for the sake of it. Atlas, eh? Nice codename. He bugged on a detail. May I ask you a question, before I go celebrate this magnificent moment by painting the Hokage monument in orange? He raised his head. What is this Uzumaki clan? Chapter 2, Orange Mayhem. It first started with Team 10. Chuji hadn't been hard to defeat. Naruto simply gave him a bag of chips laced with sleep-inducing substances, and it was over within a minute. He offered flowers to Ino, under a disguise. They come from Sasuke-sama, he affirmed, as she practically ripped them from his hands. She had inhaled them and fainted. Shikamaru surrendered, wisely deciding fighting was both pointless and dangerous when Naruto pulled out a knife. Then, Naruto went after Team 8, which proved to be a tougher target. Shino had spotted the infiltrator in less than 5 minutes, asking why he was being stalked in a dark alley. Unfortunately for the Abirame, The blonde had already closed the gap by the time he had finished his statement. The insect wannabe got surprised when Naruto knocked him out with a handkerchief wet with chloroform. As expected, the boy's over-reliance on chakra-draining animals proved to be his downfall when facing a chakra-less opponent. Ambushing Kiba had been a bit difficult, as Akamaru apparently spotted the perfume Naruto used to mask his odor. Fortunately, Kiba's cockiness made him ignore the dog's barking until it was too late. Naruto used the occasion to try his anti-Inuzuka tear gas. The new product, extracted from chili of all plants, had proved itself efficient in irritating Akamaru's underdeveloped tear ducts. With goggles protecting his eyes, Naruto had fought blind and confused opponents, with predictable results. Hinata simply dropped on the spot upon recognizing Naruto. It was anticlimactic, he whispered upon transporting the girl to the Jounin bar. Then, he went after Team 7. Naruto simply had to pull the same trick he used on Ino to neutralize Sakura. Her teammates were harder to deal with. Keeping Sasuke for the very end, Naruto focused on his last teammate. The guy, called Sai, looked like an average raven-haired guy with black eyes and black clothes and black boots and probably black underwear as well. Yes, he was an emo, as if Sasuke wasn't bad enough. I've just insulted all emos in the world. Naruto, however, discovered two creepy elements on the guy. First, he always smiled, disturbingly so, and the genin found nothing on him. No academy report, no family, no background, nothing. As Naruto never ever saw him at school and that the Sandaime placed him on the last Uchiha's team, it was pretty obvious he was either an ANBU or someone equally dangerous. Direct fighting was out of question. Hence, Naruto took the reasonable option. Hey Saikun, if I told you your sensei sent me to kidnap you, would you mind playing along? The Uchiha compound. Sasuke wasn't happy with his new team. He had ended with a fangirl. The worst of the lot. Sakura was completely useless, and Kakashi wiped the floor with her at the very beginning of the bell test. She showed no prowess, no bloodline, no skill. Sasuke didn't give her a week to live outside the walls. Sai was incredibly annoying. When the guy's first line was to call him a duckling with a little and then explain he thought it was good for socializing, Sasuke realized he wasn't well in his head. Fortunately, he was competent, showing surprising agility, intelligence, and an interesting technique. Sasuke would stay wary of paintings from now on. Kakashi may be an incredibly powerful ninja, but he was ridiculously lazy and late. Did he really have to arrive 3 hours late every single time? Worse, he didn't teach them any worthwhile techniques, simply teamwork exercises. It had been 3 days, and the team had made no progress. Sasuke shook his head, as he sat in his empty kitchen. The group had passed the bell test only because they had managed to work together and elaborate a makeshift plan 10 minutes away from the time limit. The Uchiha didn't give the team a month before it fell apart. He was snapped out of his thoughts when someone threw a gas bomb through the kitchen's windows. Sasuke quickly escaped into his house's hallway, only to be welcomed with a punch in the face. His eyes hurt, and he found himself crying. Him, who thought he had already wept enough for an entire life. Struggling with his bad eyesight, the Uchiha attempted to defend himself, but his temporary disability and the size of the hallway put him into a disadvantageous position. The enemy was a black blur, the movements fast and flawless. Sasuke struggled not to groan, as the attacker pierced his skin with what looked to be Saban. Who are you? The prodigy snarled, feeling dizzied. Shit, the Saban are poisoned. What do you want? I hate your guts, Sasuke, a familiar voice replied, before knocking him out with a last Saban to the neck. It's as simple as that. Jounin's bar. Told you he would beat them all, Anko gloated to the other Jounin. Now give me my cash. That's disappointing, Kakashi Hatake spoke, appraising his bound and gagged genin with a sharp glare. Well, except Sai, who wasn't even restrained. Wait a second, why are you free? The root agent's smile didn't waver. Uzumaki-san told me he was abducting me on your orders, so I decided to play along. I wanted to confirm the claim and rescue my teammates in case of danger, and fighting him was more trouble than it was worth. Staying free and observing was the best solution. The power of diplomacy. Naruto inwardly mused. Seriously, Asum-sensei, couldn't you find another bet? Shikamaru whined at his team commander. The Sarutobi shrugged his shoulder, freeing his other students. I thought you would defeat him. I was planning on using the money from the bet to invite you three to the city's best restaurant. While Chuji instantly forgave his teacher, Ino's expression was one of pure betrayal. You Asuma-sensei, you wagered on us? Anko bet Naruto could capture all of you, so each of us wagered our team would be the one to take him down. Kurenai shrugged, freeing the drowsy Kiba. I didn't expect him to attack you one-on-one. Or deal with you so casually. Good thing Guy wasn't here to bet, Naruto nodded to himself. Lee would have trashed him, and defeating Tenten would have been difficult. Niji, he could deal with, but the Hyuga's teammates were his worst opponents to fight against. Rock Lee was faster, stronger, and insanely durable. Tenten had a bigger arsenal and had knowledge of nearly all of the blonde's tricks, having helped design most of them. That hurts, Kiba cried, Akamaru growling. What the hell was that, Naruto? Ah, just one of my newest anti-U weapons, the teen shrugged, keeping another tear gas bomb in his pocket, in case Kiba were to lose his temper. His civilian clothing, consisting of orange pants, a vest of the same color with black sleeves, over a black shirt, was full of hidden weapons. Naruto didn't believe in risk, only in preparations. Sorry for you and Akamaru, it was just business. I would have had to hurt you pretty bad otherwise. You cheated, Sasuke rasped, freeing himself on his own. His voice was full of rage. You took us by surprise and poisoned us. I'm a ninja. I've never learned fair play. Dango restaurant. So Anko trailed off. Do you want your share? Nah, I want info. Naruto briefly glanced at the dango in front of him, wondering if offering it to Anko would tame her violent urges. I'm rich enough to buy anything I want. I didn't go through the trouble of capturing 9 genins for cash. He crossed his arms. What? Is the Uzumaki clan? When he had asked the question for the first time, the infiltrator got no answer, so he kept pestering his mentor during the training regiment until she gave in, trading answers against his help in her latest scheme. Naruto had reluctantly agreed, as the other solution was beating her in a serious fight and extracting information the hard way, which was out of his reach for the moment. Naruto could barely hide the wounds under his shirt. Sarutobi hadn't lied when he had presented Anko as a tough teacher. Their duels had boiled down to the snake lady knocking him out in one blow. As expected, Naruto couldn't resist chakra-enhanced punches, and the Jounin was way out of his league once taking him seriously. The Uzumaki's best hope was staying at distance and employing extreme overkill against her with explosives. So far it hadn't worked. Alright, I'm speaking. Anko glanced around herself, as if she was being spied on. It's classified information, the Jounin whispered on a low volume. S-rank information. I didn't get many details from my source, so you will have to deal with vagueness. I'll figure it out. I have spent years trying to find anything on my family without any result. He lowered his gaze. The Sandaime himself had refused to talk on the subject. It is about the Kyuubi? Something I shouldn't hear? I'm not even sure you're related to them, so it's only guesswork. The crazy Jounin pushed away her dango, making Naruto shiver. Was it so important she was willing to interrupt her meal? The Uzumaki weren't really a clan. Most clans have at least 100 members active at a time, some like the Hyuga reach 500. The Uzumaki were never more than 10 at any point in their history. Anko cupped her hands together. From what I've learned, they were a family of expert seal crafters, pioneers in the world of Fuinjutsu. If my source is to be believed, they designed the original arrays used for demon sealing. Naruto nodded. I suppose the Yondaime was inspired by their works. He more or less copied them, Anko spoke. Simply understanding their art is already a feat in itself, let alone replicating it. Some of their seals could create artificial whirlpools they commanded to defend their land, the land of Whirlpool. Yes, really original. Never heard of that country. It doesn't exist anymore. Anko shrugged. The land of Whirlpool was a small island with a hidden village called Yuzushiogakure. If the name doesn't ring any bell, it's because it was notoriously isolationist. The Uzumaki themselves were a clan among many living there, if a bit recognizable. One day, back in the era of the Shinobi Wars, the whole country was destroyed. As in, it sank. How? How could it be possible to sink an island? An attack by a demon vessel? Who can tell? The survivors were scattered and most didn't remember how they managed to survive in the first place. I bet it was some kind of sealing experiment that went horribly wrong. The country was destroyed, the Uzumaki clan wiped out, and it faded from memory altogether. The arrays causing whirlpools are still active, allowing us to guess the location of the sunken island, and that's all I know. Naruto began to put the pieces of information together. If the Uzumaki did design demonic seals, the secrecy could be justified. Why not inform him of his lineage then? Something was wrong. How did you get the info? From an old friend of mine, living across the sea. I asked for info after my old teacher went crazy. Short story, he gave me something that makes me unreliable in the eyes of Konoha. It's why I have an entry in the bingo book, in spite of not being a missing nin in case I have to be taken down. I thought sealing could cure me, Anko growled, and Naruto guessed it was a subject not to be opened. You want to meet her? I doubt anyone else would answer my questions. Point taken. Well, I can arrange a meeting with her. I owe you one for making Kakashi drop his perverted book for a minute. Naruto grinned ear to ear. That's why she proposed the bet, the cash was a bonus. And what is the name of this woman? Anko chuckled. I tend to call her Bloody Flower, but she prefers Meitarumi. The teen blinked. Meitarumi? The Meitarumi? The S-rank kunoichi from Kiri? The only person recorded with 2 Kekii Genkai? And my old pal back in my Chunin exam, Anko smirked. I've kept in contact with her for years. If the Hokage allows me, we could pay her a visit. Hokage's office. Denied. Why, old man? Naruto fulminated. Because you have already been selected for a mission. The Hokage shrugged at his adoptive grandson's crushed expression. Anko simply nodded, accepting the situation, one of the utmost importance. Naruto calmed himself and deepened in his seat. B rank? A rank. The blonde's jaw dropped. You might be surprised I chose a genin to carry out this mission, but the reason is, you have all the skills needed to succeed, and I trust you. Of course, you will be put under supervision. Sarutobi crossed his fingers. You have all met Mizuki, I presume? The academy teacher? Yeah, never appreciated him. Anko narrowed her eyes. I haven't seen him for a while. He has been missing? No, killed. Sarutobi replied. The ANBU was watching over him for months, due to suspicions of betrayal. As it turned out, he was a mole working for a mysterious employer, alongside a fake genin called Kabuto Yakushi, whose current location is unknown. Mizuki managed to trade away something before his client had him murdered to cover its tracks, making it pass as a suicide. The Hokage's face turned serious. Blood samples and documents. Of the academy's students? Naruto guessed, piecing back the puzzle. I see, he got them during medical examinations of students, or upon giving first aid after physical training. Including Sasuke and Hinata, I presume? It's obvious the mastermind wants to get his or her hands on Kekkei Genkai, or at least analyze them, Anko whispered. You want us to investigate? No. The ANBU and our Hunter-Nin division are already on the case. Then this is about the documents. Naruto guessed. What did Mizuki steal exactly? Classified information on the ninjas currently working as the Fire Daimyo's bodyguards, the 12 Guardians. Information which, in the eyes of the daimyo, does not exist. Sarutobi lit his pipe and let the smoke fill his lungs. I believe Mizuki's employer is planning to assassinate our main source of funding, and I have a pretty good guess why. Sarutobi lowered his head. In 1 week, the Fire and Wind daimyos will have a summit in the Land of Rivers, and will sign a treaty confirming our country's alliance by strengthening our economic exchanges. Mizuki's employer, a hidden village most likely, probably intends to have our daimyo killed before it can happen. We need to capture the assassins to learn their affiliation. Since changing or increasing the escort would alert the employer, Konoha is aware of the scheme. This leaves us with one solution, Naruto whispered. Infiltrating the summit. Yes. You will serve as support for the ANBU officially deployed and try to assure the safety of the daimyo. Sarutobi blew out a cloud of smoke. I want you to focus on the investigation. Try finding who the assassins might be working for, what are their means. Check the food and drinks, the background of the staff, everything. The danger will end after the summit, or so I hope, but meanwhile you will stay under the radar. 2 of our operatives will serve as backup. The Sandaime locked eyes with Naruto. As this is your first mission as infiltrator, you will be asked to carry on the simplest, less dangerous tasks. You will obey every order given by the other operatives. Understood? Understood. Do I have the authorization to use untested yet lethal weapons in case things go horribly wrong? Please? I don't micromanage. The 3rd training ground. Lower, faster, target the eyes. Anko's words resonated in the meadow, as they continued their knife battle. The breasts work too. The neck is an easier target. The jugular, cut the jugular. Believe me, I'm trying. You're hard to kill, crazy sensei. While Naruto was proficient with a knife, he couldn't match Anko. Worse, she wasn't attacking, simply defending, as if her student was a minor annoyance at best. He attempted to kick her legs to make her trip, without any effect. Smart move, Anko noted, disarming him with a precise swing. You're good. With enough time, you may become a challenge. Nice, except, how am I supposed to keep up? You use chakra to increase your speed. If you have a better reach and corner me well, my speed won't be enough to defend myself effectively. Think like a predator, student. Attack the prey at its weakest. Flank, kill, and don't speak. Be silent and target the vital areas as soon as possible. Naruto frowned. Jackass, I heard you coming. Get out of the bushes. The person grumbled, and obeyed. The blonde instantly recognized him. Sasuke, what are you doing here? The Uchiha glared at him, and took the time to politely nod at Anko. I want a rematch. Straight fight this time. We're ninjas, we never fight straight, Naruto sneered, Anko staring at the scene in silence. If you can't understand that, you better drop your current job and turn civilian, bastard. Sasuke scowled, managing to keep his calm. Why do you hate me? That struck a nerve. Figure it out yourself. You disliked me the moment we met at the academy, Sasuke spoke. We never exchanged more than insults, and you said yourself you hated me. I do not remember doing anything to you, so I would like to know why. Naruto growled. Isn't it obvious? I hate people like you, who act almighty because they're the scions of clans, have shiny bloodlines and never struggled to earn anything. Sasuke's jaw clenched. You have no idea what you're talking. Yeah? It took me years to master my taijutsu moves, while it will take you, seconds, to learn them with your Sharingan. Naruto spat. Your family is made of thieves. He saw the punch coming, but didn't move fast enough to dodge. Tasting the blood shedding from his lip, Naruto glared at Sasuke. You have made the dumbest mistake of your life. He punched Sasuke's nose, and engaged him into a vicious fistfight. Well, it was a fistfight until Naruto kicked the Uchiha between the legs. Then it devolved into a non-family friendly brawl. They fell on the ground kicking, punching and biting the hell out of the other. On one hand, thanks to his chakra-enhanced blows, Sasuke was physically stronger and somewhat faster. On the other hand, Naruto had far more experience in brawls and kept his ground. In the end, Anko stepped in and knocked them out. Upon awakening, Naruto found himself bound and tied to a stump. He glanced around himself, and locked eyes with Sasuke, trapped in a similar position. Anko was observing them with a serious expression. Hey, crazy sensei, release me. No. The snake lady narrowed her eyes. You two are going to stay there until you're calmed. And don't make the wounded puppy eyes student, I invented the trick. Naruto sighed as she left. I hope you're happy, bastard, he whispered to his fellow prisoner. Sasuke snorted. You insulted my clan, what did you expect, dead last? For you to accept the truth. You belong to a clan of leeches, the Uchiha sneered. You aren't the only to have had it rough. Oh yeah? I'm born without chakra. I'm never going to breath fire like I've seen you doing. Sasuke's face was priceless. What did you expect? Yes, I spied on your training. I wanted to take you on long before Anko asked me to. To prove myself I could beat you in spite of my shortcomings. Sasuke's stare turned dark. Naruto didn't manage to read his stoic expression. I see. No, you do not see. You cannot understand. Sasuke took his breath. I understand, because I have a similar goal. He stared into the horizon. There is a man I want to kill. Someone I fear, someone so strong an army isn't enough to stop him. Naruto understood immediately. Your brother? He isn't my brother, Sasuke spat with anger, immediately calming himself thereafter. That man is a monster, a psychopath who massacred his own parents, and left me alive because I wasn't worth his time. The bitter tone left Naruto speechless. Never before had he considered things under that angle. I thought you weren't present. Info on the massacre has been scarce. I was present, and too weak to make a difference. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Run, foolish brother. Cling to your life. Hate me. One day, you may be worth the time of a day. He told me that, and I survived. I trained, and endured, vowing I would avenge my family one day. He stopped. Why am I telling you this? You never had a family to lose. While the last jab hurt, Naruto ignored it and focused. I guess it's the tiredness that freed your tongue. With a thrust, the blonde let the restraints fall, much to Sasuke's shock. The orange genin laughed. What can I say? I'm good at escapes. He walked away to recover his knife, still laying on the ground. Now let's cut your ropes. Once done, the Uchiha let go a shiver of happiness. So what? So do you want your rematch? Sasuke for once smiled. Ichiraku's friendship at first punch? I am blinked. Pretty much, Naruto shrugged, whereas Sasuke simply snorted. Think, I am Chan. You and Tuchi-san are the only people that haven't, at any point in your life, kicked my ass. Even the old man got around it. I believe I have sadomasochistic tendencies. Both the waitress and the Uchiha shuddered. Not in that way, damn it, you will have to forgive me if I have doubts, the waitress replied. Hard to blame her, both genin looked like hell. You do enjoy getting hurt, it helps build pain tolerance. He searched into one of his pockets, finding his modified military pill. Swallowing it, Naruto ignored the bitter taste and Sasuke's inquisitive gaze. I can't freeze in pain mid-battle. I've tried using morphine and it ended badly. Cut myself without even realizing it. I am shrugged, muttering curses under her breath. The Uchiha glanced at Naruto. It's not a normal soldier pill. You think genius? It's one of my self-made customized brands. It speeds up the activity of my cells, curing in minutes damage that would take hours to heal. Side effects include an increased need of nutriments and limited hypoglycemia. AK, I starve and I need to eat. He swallowed his ramen. Standard soldier pills have better results, but unfortunately don't work on me. Yes, it sucks. Actually not that much. Naruto hadn't been entirely honest with Anko. Most of his funds weren't gained by cheating at poker, but by selling new brands of medicines to civilian companies. The genin had then proceeded to become a key investor of a large, reliable firm, which indirectly paid for most of his expenses. I see. Don't you see medics? They may have better results, although I doubt they could fix your ugly face. I hate medics. After all, they were quite rejoiced upon outlining his special illness to the Hokage. I prefer to depend on myself in a battle. Call me a loner if you want, but it's how I am. I don't go to hospitals any time I'm crying, unlike a certain someone. Sasuke nodded, willfully ignoring the last jab. He understood the blonde, having a similar work ethic himself. You would be a good hunter, Nin. Naruto appreciated the compliment. I would, if I could run as fast as most ninjas. Nah, I'm gunning for the NBU. The Uchiha blinked. The NBU? Yep, it's impossible to enter it with my particularity. Who cares? I'll make the impossible possible. I will make the world give up on making me give up. He smirked at Sasuke's astonishment. What do you want? My motto is be efficient, be determined, always have a plan. Sasuke snorted. My own is shorter, kill him. I'm going to enjoy saying this, you aren't going to succeed. Remember, I kicked your ass by taking you by surprise and our straight fight had the same results. Yes, I used tear gas each time, but frankly, don't expect he who must not be named to fight fair. I would love to improve, but my teacher is incompetent, and my team weird. Sasuke sighed. Why can't I get real training? Oh, I can provide you training. Naruto grinned sadistically. I have some youthful genin to present you. Forest of Death. I'm going to kill you, jerk. Later, jackass, Naruto replied, dodging a kunai aimed at his head. Tenten didn't waste time, throwing wave after wave of weapons at the duo. Sasuke somehow managed to dodge them, making Naruto wonder if Tenten was getting sloppy. She had overall 100% chance of hitting her targets. Naruto could avoid them thanks to refined reflexes and experience, but the Uchiha had no such excuse. In the end, the blonde tossed a smoke bomb at the kunoichi, allowing the duo to get away. They fled and hid in the brushes. Naruto opened his bag, drawing 2 of his green forest camouflage uniforms. Take 1. I'm not letting her beat you. I reserve the pleasure for myself alone. When you said we were going to do target practice, you didn't say we were the targets, Sasuke grumbled, reluctantly switching clothes. Why is she so mad at you? Is she your old girlfriend and you dumped her? Well, I pranked her hard after my graduation, and she needs to vent her frustration. He locked eyes with Sasuke and blinked. Hey, your eyes are red. The Uchiha's Sharingan swirled, and the prodigy smirked in realization. I understand why I could see the weapons coming, now. I suppose your eyes kicked in when keeping track of hundreds of weapons became necessary. Couldn't survive on your own, loser? It made Naruto jealous. Kekkai Genkai were real game breakers. Even your super reflexes won't be enough to keep up with Tenten-chan if she unleashes her big techniques. You better take her down by surprise, while I dispose of Niji. I'm pretty much his natural predator. This will leave Lee to deal with. With a few tricks, we might take him down. Might? Let's be honest. In a straight fight, nothing short of a jounin can beat Lee once he gets serious. Fighting dirty is our only hope. He noticed Niji walking in the distance. How fortunate, they were outside his Byakugan's range. Let's go. As Sasuke left to deal with Tenten, Naruto, his outfit meshing with vegetation, skirted Niji, going at great lengths to stay outside the Byakugan's vision. Once behind the Hyuga, Naruto seized the kunai, strapped it with explosive tags, lit them with his lighter, and aimed at Niji's head. As expected, the gentle fist prodigy saw the sneak attack coming and dodged, leaving the weapon to destroy a nearby tree. Your tricks are getting old. Niji shut his mouth. The blonde closed the gap between them. The teen's punch barely missed, engaging the Hyuga in close combat. Of course, this was suicidal. The Hyuga's style was feared for a reason, and engaging them in taijutsu duels was begging for a trashing. With a few strikes, Niji could cripple a ninja's chakra circulatory system, turning enemies into paraplegics. Too bad for him. Naruto's Tenkensen never worked to begin with. Niji's entire fighting style was centered on depriving the enemy of chakra. Of depriving one of something Naruto never had and lived without. He was, to put it bluntly, the worst opponent for a Hyuga to face. Save the Kaiten, none of their techniques could harm him. Of course, Niji wasn't dumb enough to rely only on his Byakugan. Guy had taught him a variant of the gentle fist to defend himself, adding in versatility. This fighting style focused on targeting the pressure points of a body and the nerves, which had the potential to immobilize an opponent. Unfortunately for the Hyuga, he wasn't as proficient with it than with the gentle fist, and lacked Naruto's superior physical strength. Niji was a speed demon, good at dodging and unleashing fast precise strikes, but had little strength and endurance, even with chakra. One punch from the blonde would knock him out cold. I've heard you humiliated Hinata, Niji whispered, going for the neck. Naruto dodged, listening to the noise in the background. Apparently either Sasuke or Tenten had brought explosives. The Hyuga are in uproar. Some say this is unforgivable. Kicking your butt regularly wasn't enough to piss them off. Niji didn't take the bait and stayed focused. Crap, why don't you go into stupid rages anymore? If you say anger management classes, I give up. I guess I learned the lesson. Niji executed a roundhouse kick. Naruto lowered his torso, avoiding the attack. Hanabi was crying for your blood. If she's weaker than you, which is a feat in itself, I've nothing to fear. Let them come, I can beat the whole Hyuga clan by myself. Naruto caught Niji's wrist. The pure horror on the Hyuga's visage was priceless. Face it, blank eyes, you've lost. Pulling Team 9's genius closer, Naruto smashed his fist into his nose. The blow was brutal enough to knock Niji out. Well, that was short, Naruto muttered under his breath, his head tilting to the side. A very bruised Sasuke was walking forward, carrying an unconscious Tenten in his arms. If the cuts on the Uchiha's skin were to be trusted, it had been a close call. Who brought the explosive tags? She did. I used a fire jutsu to counter them, and managed to knock her out from behind. Sasuke deposed her on the ground and massaged his neck. This leaves the spandex guy, right? Don't worry, he will announce his presence. Dynamic entry. Naruto shuddered. Speaking of Lee, why hadn't he shown himself? The crazy genin wasn't the kind of guy to leave his teammates at the mercy of anyone. Naruto get his answer when Lee was tossed at their feet, defeated and unconscious. Then, a grinning, friendly ninja landed in front of the duo. Dynamic entry. Anko chuckled, cracking her knuckles. Want a real challenge, student? Oh shit, was the only thing Naruto found the strength to say. In the end, the rematch only lasted a minute. Anko used her chakra to move at incredible speed, faster than Naruto's own eyes could follow. He barely had the time to blink when she closed the gap between them, threw him on his back, and pressed the kunai against his neck. A serious Anko was a terrifying opponent indeed. After she ordered them to leave, Sasuke and Team 9 wisely decided to obey. Not that they didn't hesitate to rescue their rival. The blonde simply said he would be fine and used to it. You look like a beaten puppy, Anko told him bluntly as she helped him stand. Do you hang out with guys' team that often? Their training regiment is hellish. It's nothing like yours, Naruto shrugged. I figure you have a good reason to interrupt our session? How long have you been spying on me, outside of congratulating you for making the Uchiha open to you? Yes. Which confirmed it, she had been spying on them all along, and Naruto never sensed her. Frightening. She searched under her jacket and tossed Naruto a letter. Here is the biography of your alias, with forged documents. You better get into the role. I'm a consummate actor, the teenager replied. And the operatives? Anko grinned, as two people walked toward them. Naruto carefully examined them with a sharp glance. The first was a sick-looking man with brown hair and eyes. His skin was pale, and the dark markings under his eyes implied recurring insomnias or troubled sleep. The way he was moving put Naruto on edges. The guy was deliberately attempting to appear sloppy, but the way he was carrying himself clearly told Naruto he wasn't as frail as he pretended to be. The man had opted for gray clothes, befitting of an average civilian. The second operative was a woman, with long, beautiful purple hair reaching her waist. It would be impractical in fighting situations, for an enemy could grab them, but Naruto had the distinct feeling it was intentional, faking a weakness to control the pace of a fight. Her eyes were as black as night, her skin pale, her lips red and sensual. The typical infiltration kunoichi. Atlas, meet Gecko and Cat. Gecko, Cat, this is my apprentice Atlas. Charmed, Naruto bowed slightly. The pleasure is all mine, the woman softly replied, whereas the man gave the blonde a sharp nod. Viper spoke highly of you. Really? Anko scratched the back of her head with a grin. I don't remember. Anyway, we're leaving tomorrow, so you better say goodbye to your pals, student. Of course, Naruto replied, mentally running a checklist of people to inform. Land of Grass. After crossing the bridge, Kabuto finally caught sight of the base. The iron, gray, massive facility was big enough to house multiple installations, the genin thought as he approached it. The organization had invested millions to build this research center, hoping to mass-produce super soldiers, away from the inquisitive watch of the hidden villages. Kabuto stopped in front of the main gate, holding his briefcase with utmost care. He had gone through much trouble to secure these blood samples, and his bosses wouldn't appreciate it if he were to lose them. If Orochimaru liked the medic enough to offer him a second chance, Sasori had no tolerance for imperfection. Welcome home, Kabuto-san. Kimimaro politely welcomed him. The Kaguya looked a lot healthier than the last time the medic had met him, on an hospital bed. The latest operation might have finally cured his tuberculosis. Orochimaru-sama is waiting for you. Following him inside the gray, dimly lit corridors of the facility, Kabuto couldn't repress his curiosity. I see you feel much better. Science team succeeded in curing you? The serum distilled from Karen's blood had results, Kimimaro replied coolly. Science team has hopes of mass-producing it in time. The process is currently too costly. And Karen herself? The process is painful, but her loyalty to Orochimaru-sama is greater, he shrugged. Oh, so they haven't put her in a test tube yet, Kabuto mused. Then again, her blood was the only useful thing about her, alongside her sensor abilities. He wouldn't be surprised if their bosses suddenly decided she would be better as a guinea pig than free. They entered a large blue hall, illuminated by electric lamps above. It was equipped with 9 screens, multiple computers and chairs. Kabuto's 2 bosses were waiting for him. Welcome home, Kabuto-kun, Orochimaru smiled, his yellow eyes moving from the spy's face to his briefcase. The Song Sannin was elegant, with his yellow ensemble, tied by a purple ribbon. I see you succeeded in your mission. Congratulations. Of course he has, Sasori grumbled with a gruff voice, waving his iron tail. It was hard to see his features under all the black robes and clothes covering his puppet body. Kabuto would give everything he had to discover what was hiding underneath. I wouldn't have had him blow his cover for nothing. Kabuto nodded and opened the briefcase, revealing 5 bottles of blood with names written on them. Here are the samples you asked Mizuki to gather. As demanded, I rewarded him accordingly. Oh, no doubt he has enjoyed his payment, Orochimaru joked with sadistic glee. Akatsuki will be pleased. Take a rest, Kabuto-kun, you've earned it. The Snake Sannin dismissing Kimimaro and the medic with a hand wave. They closed the door behind, leaving the duo alone. Hinata Hyuga, Naruto Uzumaki, Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame and Sasuke Uchiha. With it, he should be able to isolate the gene he was looking for. I see you didn't let go your obsession with the Sharingan, Sasori whispered, moving to activate the screens. This will cause you trouble in time. It was the first time they attempted to replicate the daimyo's long-distance communications with satellite dishes. They should transmit information to another, allowing instant discussion unable to be intercepted. Unlike Payne's hologram communication, this network could transmit information as complex as maps and data. As the plan's deadline was getting close, the need for better coordination had become imperative. The construction of a common database and remote control of installations would prevent resources from going to waste and the loss of critical intelligence. In the war to come, Akatsuki would keep a decisive advantage over the more archaic hidden villages. They needed to be a step away. The screens brightened one by one, each picturing a member of Akatsuki. Only the 9th one didn't work. The quality was quite bad, and images distorted from time to time, still good for a first try. Akatsuki, online, Sasori whispered, testing the microphones. It's working. Deidara chuckled, the mad bomber grinning like a child. And I thought it would never start up. Told you science team doesn't have vapor for brains, Deidara-senpai. Toby replied. The masked man gave everyone the nice guy's thumb up. Toby looks evil on the screen, doesn't he? We are evil masterminds plotting an evil plan to take over the world, Sasori snorted. How Pain could have allowed that clown to join Akatsuki would remain a mystery for the ages. Orochimaru looked positively more amused, yet not to the same extent as Kisame. It would be even worse if we used a uniform, the shark man chuckled. Why not a black robe with red clouds on it, giving a way for hidden villages to identify us? Yes, marvelous idea, Kakuza deadpanned, rolling his green eyes. The bounty hunter was a consummate professional, in stark contrast with the more easygoing members. Nobody should be aware we work as a single organization, remember? Enough. The voice was faint, a mere whisper, and yet enforced full silence. Leader's bright eyes locked with Orochimaru's. The snake Sannin didn't falter, in spite of the enormous difference in power between the two. We will begin with your report, Orochimaru. Kabuto safely brought the samples of Konoha's most promising genin to us, after disposing of Mizuki. The Sannin didn't like loose ends. Mizuki would have talked if captured, and didn't bring the organization any benefit. He wasn't even worth being turned into a test subject. With Itachi's genetic material and his brothers, reproducing the Sharingan is within our grasp. It has been 2 years and science team never made any progress, Itachi spoke, his Sharingan blazing like an inferno. Orochimaru was secretly aware the man's sight was deteriorating, which entertained the Sannin to no end. Why should it be different with my worthless brother's blood? He had a point, even if the snake hated to admit it. Itachi's sperm and blood samples hadn't been enough to clone him, as the process was still imperfect. Artificial insemination of abducted women had given birth to complete failures, as none of the children created exhibited the Sharingan gene. Like with Kimimaro, the lack of other clansmen didn't allow the organization's scientists to isolate the gene. Orochimaru believed he could, within a generation or two, succeed at creating a healthy clone of Itachi or produce a new Uchiha breed. Unfortunately, he didn't have that much time. Leader wanted results, and patience wasn't his main virtue. The plan's deadline was getting close, and an army of mass-produced super soldiers, loyal to Akatsuki, would secure the organization's domination over the world. Orochimaru almost regretted staying with the organization. He wasn't happy to report to anyone, and being forced to work on a few subjects he personally disliked. Fortunately, Akatsuki balanced the disadvantages by giving the Sannin access to unlimited resources and funds, knowledge beyond his capabilities, and many interesting test subjects. As a bonus, Sasori was a good fellow to hang with, and a scientist nearly as competent as his partner. Of course, Orochimaru would still backstab him within the year. The Sannin was biding his time. The organization would allow him to attain his goal much faster than on his own, and he had secretly started the construction of Otogekure. With the blood samples, the only reason he was still in Akatsuki was the help they would provide in the destruction of Konoha. With your brother's genes to complete the DNA sequences, Itachi-kun, isolating the Sharingan gene should be workable. The enzymes produced by the Kagaseo can transmit it to human subjects, allowing the creation of a backbone force within 2 years. The plan's final stage is scheduled to start in 3 years, Zetsu pointed out, his two voices echoing. The most mysterious, yet versatile, member of Akatsuki rarely talked in meetings, except to give his own report. This gives us plenty of time. I'm afraid the schedule may have to be advanced, Itachi cut in. One of our bases in Kiri-Ushi has been wiped out by the new government. All the staff is presumed dead or captured. Again? That's the 3rd time since Tarumi's takeover, Sasori rasped. This leaves only Talon? I don't give it 2 months before May storms it, Kisame chuckled, speaking from experience. He had fought her more than once. Turning turncoat hadn't lessened the respect he had for her. She's like a shark, she never lets her prey go. She won't stop until we've been kicked out of her land. Orochimaru honestly couldn't understand the Godame Mizuki's obsession with destroying the organization. True, Akatsuki had exploited the civil war to abduct Kekkei Genkai wielders, yet, such determination to eliminate them, no matter what the cost, was disturbing. The Sannin had the distinct feeling Leader had wronged her fiercely. Leader narrowed his eyes. It may be wise to completely retreat from Kirigakure in case the new government tracks our last base down. Kisame, Itachi, you will use Talon as secondary headquarters until all the staff and equipment are moved out and shipped to Base Alpha, in the Land of Grass. Kirigakure's influence across the sea has been crippled for a decade, you should face no obstacle. And the coast bases? Sasori pointed out. Kiri may locate them, and they won't have enough firepower to resist the flotilla. Considering Tarumi's grudge, I have little doubt the Hidden Mist will take actions in zones outside its jurisdiction. I have no fear security will deal with isolated agents. A flotilla near the coast could threaten Konoha and cause a diplomatic accident. I have taken dispositions to prevent such a risk. We have nothing to fear. Leader locked eyes with Itachi. Talon will be active as long as we haven't secured the Sanbai. How long will it take for you to capture it? 1 week, the Uchiha replied. We have located its hideout, and a container has been selected. One loyal to Akatsuki, went unsaid. Good. Sasori? As explained in our latest meeting, the petroleum extracted from the land of Earth proved itself a far more efficient energy source than batteries, Sasori added. We have already shipped most of it to the land of Iron, with our new generators. The new fuel should secure our technical superiority over the 5 nations when we start the plan. Kakuzu nodded. I have received your package. Our factories have increased the production by 50%, and the land of Iron's leadership has been dealt with. Zetsu smirked savagely, showing his white, sharpened fangs. The daimyo was tasty. Orochimaru grinned back. So Konoha and Kumo are next? I shall deal with Cloud and A personally, leader cut in. Suna will take care of Konoha for us. Next subject, Haiden. As duplicating his immortality jutsu has proved itself impossible, I have been using him as a test subject for the new brand of Cursed Seal, currently with an assessed 100% chance of killing the subject. Orochimaru chuckled. The results have been impressive. I am sure Haiden will be an efficient bioweapon once deployed against our enemies. Keep him restrained under the research center until we have use for him. We can't have a superpowered lunatic running amok unless we want him to. Konan, Hanzo's remnants have been crushed. Amigekyo is ours now and forever, leader. Orochimaru was almost surprised she could talk. This woman never spoke, unless commanded to. Somehow, her face was vaguely familiar to the Sannin, even if he couldn't put a name on it. Perfect. Deidara, Toby, you will go to the land of rivers and proceed with our next operation. Lit the fires of war anew. Yes. Stuff blowing up, Deidara-senpai. We're going to redecorate the daimyo's ballroom, with tomato juice. A pause. I'm off my meds. Shut up, Toby. It's not stuff, it's art. Sasori looked downright murderous, throwing away all composure. This is the stupidest thing you have ever said, Deidara. Art is everlasting, not ugly. Take that back, Orochimaru. The Sannin straightened up, leader's chilling tones silencing the bickering artists. You and Sasori will oversee the transfer of Kiri's staff to our bases in the land of grass. Take the time to send me the psychological reports of the Kyuubi's container, so I can update our bingo book. Orochimaru decided he couldn't let the opportunity to destroy Konoha pass. I would like to take over our operations against the Hidden Leaf, leader. I have a score to settle with the old senile Hokage. You have my authorization and my blessing. The rest of you will continue with their former missions. Leader shrugged. I look forward our next meeting. Akatsuki, offline. The screen's shut down. I better get going, Sasori. The faster Konoha in ruin, the better. Orochimaru exchanged glances with the puppeteer, upon closing the door. See you around. Once convinced he was alone, Sasori reactivated the connection. The picture of Pain's face appeared on the screen. Is it wise to let him run some of our operations, leader? Orochimaru is bright, but not as bright as he thinks he is. I will tolerate his treachery as long as he stays useful, but once he becomes too much to hassle, I will terminate with him personally. Pain narrowed his eyes. Back to the important matter. I've been informed the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki will be deployed soon. Do you believe he is aware of his lineage? My agents were unable to tell. Sasori waved his puppet's tail. What is the matter? Blood is thicker than water. If he hasn't found out yet, he will soon. This might prove to be problematic, leader whispered. Keep an eye on him. Of course, leader. Sasori lowered his head. Our will shall be done. Tenten's weapon shop. 1 week, maybe more? Tenten asked, as Naruto presented her his newest invention. You want to test this plastic in the meantime? The occasion might present itself. The teen grinned ear to ear. That, and I'll take the red dragon. Your names are so unoriginal and ridiculous, Tenten replied with disapproval. Flamethrower sounds better to me. I have finished designing the fireproof armor, by the way. She tossed him a blue, large bag. It's inside. Naruto examined the object, which was lighter than expected. Opening it, he found it far larger in the inside than the outside. Sealing? My newest invention, the miracle bag, she chirped. I believe it would be a good alternative to the sealing scrolls, which needs to be activated with chakra. Sasuke used the few seconds I needed to open the scroll to strike me in the back. Ceasing her little monologue, Tenten smiled. This bag is made for you, Naruto. You can pull a whole armory inside. Naruto gasped. You made that for me? After the orange spanned. Do not finish this sentence, Tenten warned. And yes, it's a gift from one friend to another. She adopted a serious, businesslike face. You're our best customer. Think of it as a reward for all the money you spent here. Tenten? He hugged her, making her squeeze. You're awesome. He stopped, realized what he was doing, and released the surprised girl. Sorry, couldn't stop myself. Nah, it felt good actually. Tenten sighed briefly, before regaining her composure. Naruto? Don't screw up. I won't, no worry. I'm a professiona. Dynamic entry. Lee and Guy shouted, upon loudly opening the door. Guy's teeth were shining so much Naruto felt his eyes burn at the sight. Neji was following, unfazed by the craziness. Naruto stared at them, then at the wall. Holy cow, you guys used the door. You didn't smash the wall. Naruto, Guy gave him the nice guy pose. Good luck for your mission. Let the fires of your youth burn. Naruto-kun, I have faith in your success. Lee interrupted himself, remembering something. What is your mission, by the way? Oh, bodyguard duty for a civilian. Understatement of the year. Nothing hard. The teen scoffed. By the way, I apologize for my sensei defeating you. She's too crazy for her own good. Your sensei was such a youthful and powerful lady, it made me want to train even harder. Lee clenched his fist and pointed it at the sky. I will train until I can bring down the skies themselves. I will run around Konoha 100 times. Good, Lee. We will do it 200 times. Yes, Guy-sensei. Lee, Gi-sensei. It's your fate to succeed, Neji told Naruto, as his teammate and teacher started hugging each other's, much to everyone's horror. There is no other way. Fate, my ass. I will succeed because I can. He gave a tap on Neji's shoulder. The Hyuga briefly wondered, shrugging it off, until deciding against it. Take care of them for me, would you? Oh, and in case I'm not home when they happen, good luck with your Chunin exams. Not that you need it. The blonde gave them the nice guy pose. You rock. Later, Naruto went to the Ichirakus. The owners generously gave him rations of ramen they had prepared for him, and he thanked them profusely. The blonde took the time to see Irika, who wished him good luck. Escort mission? Small world. Who is your client? Some old drunk called Tazuna, Sasuke snorted derisively, as the two walked in the streets. Worst first mission in the world. Capturing Tora was better, in your mind? You met that monster too? I saw her near a roof. I believe she was contemplating suicide. Sasuke's glance almost made the blonde laugh. Look, if I was in her place, I would do the same. I felt bad when Sensei and I brought her back to the daimyo's wife. I wondered if I wasn't complicit in blatant acts of animal cruelty. It's a cat, it can't contemplate suicide. Sasuke massaged his temples. Why am I having this weird conversation in the first place? Because we're going on our first serious missions, you don't feel hanging with your team, and I'm th. He saw it, inside a cage on display. The ultimate death machine. The killing engine. The terror of the natural world. 50% mammal, 50% waterfowl, 100% awesome. The final product of evolution stared at Naruto, whose own eyes burned at sheer magnificence of the creature. Possessed by a power beyond his comprehension, unable to keep his tongue in front of such beauty, the blonde opened his mouth. 1 million ryo on the platypus. Sasuke's jaw dropped. You're that rich? No, but I always wanted to say it. Chapter 3. Atlas shrugged. Student. Yes, crazy sensei? Why did you bring a fucking platypus with you into the Hokage's office? Naruto smiled. I named him Perry. Like pretty. He seized the animal by the belly and gave the presentations. Perry, meet Crazy Sensei. Crazy Sensei, meet Perry. The animal stared confusedly at Anko. He's timid, but Perry is a good boy. He doesn't bite people yet. Right hand guard platypus, anyone? Interesting choice of pet, Cat noted, as Gecko gently took the platypus from Naruto's hands, petting it. The creature wavered its tail in appreciation. And the Sandaime? Trying his hardest not to laugh, Anko massaged her noose. The whole situation was humiliating. A Doberman, I can tolerate, it's nasty, vicious, and cool. A tiger? Badass. A snake? I would adopt you on the spot. A platypus? Are you kidding me? No student of mine shall be seen fighting next to this cosmic joke. You don't see the big picture, Crazy Sensei. Naruto shook his head in disappointment. Perry is a killing machine. It's the proof nature can be awesomely generous. It's a four-legged duck that can't fly. It's the proof nature has a sense of humor. Here again you can't see. Naruto intertwined his fingers. Perry can swim like a duck, bite like a snake, has the strength of a bear and the agility of a lizard. The animal reign's most awesome abilities were condensed and combined into the ultimate reptilian/mammal/bird. We humans rule only because platypuses are too lazy to take over. As Anko's expression clearly told she wasn't convinced, he grinned and put his ace on the table. Male platypuses produce a venom triggering all the pain receptors in a human body without killing it. A man once compared the pain of having an arm amputated as a cakewalk before the refined agony of platypus venom. Boy, I'm aware of that. But let's be honest, platypuses aren't really the best animals to fight with, unless you expect your enemies to die of laughter. You aren't bringing it on our mission. A platypus is too rare to be ignored, Gecko added, the hybrid creature purring in his arms. If people see you with one, you won't stay under the radar for long. Killed you. Of course, Naruto was well aware of the importance of namelessness. To be an infiltrator, you had to be a nobody. A platypus would be akin to painting hay, I'm strange on his back. He had just brought his pet to screw with his team. Alright, Perry, you can't come. Old man Sandaime is going to take care of you. Yes, it shall prove to be interesting. The Sandaime took a pause to regain his breath. It was easier said than done, as the temptation to laugh returned each time he stared at Naruto's new animal companion. You four have all memorized the identities we forged. My name is Kagaseo, Anko started, bowing slightly. She had adopted a white and yellow dress of silk, fitting of the rich noblewoman she was impersonating. She had let her hair down, dyeing it black, and in Naruto's own opinion, it had made her looks go from sexy to beautiful. Her blue contact lenses added something ethereal to her aspect. Second daughter of a rich merchant of jewels with the daimyo's favor. Father sent me to the court to find a husband. Kanemugi, personal bodyguard of Lady Kaguya, Gecko, alias Hate Gecko, faked a thuggish expression. He was wearing a white iron armor covering his entire body, and wielding a long sword. His hair was red, and his eyes golden. With the sadistic smirk on his face, anybody would mistake him as a psycho for hire. I don't say a word unless allowed to. Come from Kusa's surroundings, stole a sword and later an armor after killing the former owner in his sleep. Became a bodyguard to get money and kill people legally. I'm new in the lady's service. Kat, alias Yugao Yuzuki, took a step forward. She was wearing a gray iron mail, black sleeve and pants. She was carrying a sheathed katana on her back. Her hair were now black, as were her eyes. Makeup made her look older than she truly was. I am Colin Kazuki, M-Lord. Come from good motherland of earth, mercenary. Daughter of a blacksmith, took the sword when I realized I was good with it. Got recruited by the old lady cause I learned to read and write. Been in her service for a year as bodyguard. My name is Lelouch Lamperidge, Prince of the faraway country of Britannia. I'm secretly the S-rank missing mean zero, and I have an awesome plan to take over the land of fire with my sharing hacks. Atlas, just messing with your mind, old man. The name Suzaku, sir, Naruto spoke with a coarse, foreign accent. Sarutobi had to admit, the boy was good. I'm the lady's personal servant. Do all the jobs she wants me to do. I've been with the old lady Samurai for 2 years, after she found me in the street in her town. I was taught to read and write to make my work easier. The blonde had taken a red shirt and blue pants as his own disguise. He was wearing his orange jacket over these clothes, just in case. He had dyed his hair black as well, put black contact lenses in his eyes, and covered his whiskers with makeup. Modifying his appearance was child's play for the demon vessel. Sarutobi nodded. The daimyo alone is aware of your true identity. Viper will serve as your liaison with him, as her identity allows her to communicate with him without arising suspicion. Viper will serve as the team leader for this operation and coordinates your efforts. Deadly force is allowed. Do not blow up your cover unless it can't be avoided. Understood? The four nodded. Then dismissed. As they left him alone, Sarutobi crossed gaze with the platypus. The creature placidly stared back, before shyly backing down into a corner. Britannia, I wonder where he found that one. In one of the few non-porn novels Jiraiya wrote during his service. Sarutobi chuckled, unfazed by the man's visit. I have a door for a reason, Danzo. You should try using it one day. My apologies, Hiruzen, the root commander replied with a neutral tone. They were odd friends, yet Sarutobi had to admit the man's eternally stoic attitude was incredibly disturbing. The matter at hand is of the highest importance. My agent has sent me his report. I have had the confirmation Kabuto is an agent of Akatsuki. The Sandaime Hokage gave no sign he was concerned in the slightest. He seized the platypus and put it on his lap. The animal purred in appreciation, as Sarutobi started to caress his back, mostly to relieve the tension. Has your agent learned what they intend to do with the samples, or the details of their operations against us? Their science division intends to replicate their bloodlines and create super soldiers. To what end? Danzo trailed off, Sarutobi picking the little hint of disappointment in his voice. His spy had infiltrated Akatsuki's core 10 members for years, without gaining any knowledge of their main plan or the leader's identity. As for their current operations, my agent is not privy on the details. Unfortunately, pain is quite secretive. Paranoia is to be expected from the leader of the Missing Nin Syndicate. Not just any Missing Nin Syndicate. The Missing Nin Syndicate. Konoha hadn't been aware of Akatsuki's existence until 1 year after the Uchiha massacre. The members went at great lengths to make sure nobody discovered they worked as a single organization, destroying any evidence that could blow up their secrecy. Jiraiya himself had no knowledge of it, and Danzo was affirmative. Akatsuki had been working in the shadows for at least a decade. According to the agent's reports, Akatsuki was at its core, an alliance of 10 S-rank Missing Nin united under one goal: to take over the world. Although some members were in it for personal reasons or to access the organization's resources, the agent had infiltrated this main committee after a previous member, Haiden, proved himself to be a liability, and was promptly relegated to guinea pig status for his trouble. This was only the tip of the iceberg. Akatsuki had hundreds of bases, facilities, and hideouts implanted across each corner of the continent, thousands of agents ranging from weaker missing ninjas to bankers to power brokers, and financial resources as vast as one of the 5 main hidden villages. Truth to be told, Akatsuki was, in practice, a hidden village, one without frontier, banner or a public face. The fact they managed to infiltrate Konohagakure enraged Sarutobi to no end. What was counterintelligence doing? Drinking coffee? Still nothing on pain? The elusive leader of Akatsuki was a mystery that worried the Hokage. Anyone able to impose his authority over 9 of the worst criminals in history was a threat, a large threat. Beside his codename? He participated in AIM's civil war and personally killed Hanzo and his private guard. On his own, it would take an army. My own students barely survived an encounter with Hanzo. No, scratch that. It wasn't an encounter, but a trashing in its purest form. They didn't land a single hint on the salamander. For a single man to kill him and his elite guard, he did it alone, or so I was told. I find this doubtful. Some elements hint pain may not be a single person, but a group of individuals sharing the name. Mere guesses, of course. Sasori, Zetsu, and maybe Kakuzu are the only people that might have answers to our questions, and none are willing to talk. Akatsuki's leader is a secondary problem right now. The protection of the daimyo is more pressing, doubly so since Akatsuki plans to destroy us. I know. If Akatsuki was indeed going to attack the daimyo summit, their goal was clear: exacerbate tensions between the two nations and spark a new Konoha war. Diplomatic relationships with the Kazekage were good on the outside, yes, and Sarutobi wasn't fooled. The yondaime was getting desperate to find funds due to his conflicts with the Wind Daimyo, and he would go to any length to get them. Causing a conflict wouldn't be a big deal for him, and Akatsuki would no doubt gain some profit from a war. Hence I have to ask. Danzo sat in the chair in front of the desk, glaring at Sarutobi's own seat. The war hawk dreamed of taking over Konoha since the Sandaime's election, and never bothered to hide it. But he was loyal to the Hokage first and foremost. He had the option of furthering his ambitions at the sake of the village's prosperity, yet didn't betray his former teammate. Danzo narrowed his lone eye. Why did you send 2 unstable, unreliable loose cannons on such a crucial mission? Danzo didn't need to raise his voice to make his displeasure clear. Sarutobi scratched the platypus back, surprised to discover it had fallen asleep. Anko and Naruto are more competent than you think. You underestimate them. We already had a conversation on the subject, if I remember. You overestimate them, Danzo shot back. Mitarashi has psychological baggage rivaling Hataki's, is unreliable in teams, and her curse seal makes her a potential sleeper agent for Orochimaru. Uzumaki has the ability to destroy mountains and none of the wisdom needed to handle that power properly. He had luck you defused the situation with the clans he insulted, after going along with Mitarashi's stupid bet. Hayashi and some are bitter. It was unnecessary and stupid of him to attack their children and not expect retaliations. He is a mere child. Here again, you make the mistake everyone does with Naruto. There is nothing mere about that child. You should have understood with the Forbidden Scroll debacle. Danzo groaned. I admit he has flaws. He has to mature, yes, but weren't we rash back in our youth? In time, he will become one of our best ninjas. I have faith in his potential. Sarutobi intertwined his fingers. It was a tick of him, the gesture he abused to patronize people. Naruto had managed to mimic it to near perfection. As for Anko, she has proved her worth 100 times. Tsunade herself confirmed the curse seal cannot allow information transportation or remote control. She completed nearly 100 A-rank missions, 2 S-rank, and spent 2 years as a cover agent in Kumo and completed her work flawlessly. What other proof do you need to finally accept her promotion as a NBU? I won't reconsider as long as Orochimaru breathes. She's a time bomb, Sarutobi. And if by some miracle, you were right all along, it doesn't change much. Mitarashi is psychologically disturbed. How can you trust her to teach our best weapon? Sarutobi glared at his former rival. Best soldier. The icy tone made Danzo scowl. What were my other options? Tenzo? He has been missing in action for a year, probably dead. Kakashi? He admits himself he couldn't use the Sharingan for more than 10 minutes, let alone suppress the Kyuubi. Jiraiya? We both agree this would be unwise. As far as I know, Manda is the only summon that has a reasonable chance of restraining Naruto if the Kyuubi takes over. Danzo snorted. She is of poor influence on your best soldier. The war hawk took malicious pleasure in stressing the word. On the contrary, he is of good influence on her. Sarutobi chuckled lightly. Don't you understand? They are incredibly similar, and both outcasts in their way. Misery loves company. The way I see it, they will be an excellent 2-man squad in time. They won't stand a chance against Akatsuki. Unless doubt took over Danzo's heart. What do you have in mind, you crafty monkey? Oh, nothing. Sarutobi grinned ear to ear, deeply unsettling the Roots leader. Nothing at all. Land of Rivers. The travel hadn't been much the hassle. Due to their cover and to avoid being identified, the group had to move the civilian way, on foot. It suited Naruto. He wouldn't have to run after his allies, unable to jump from tree to tree as easily as ninjas and monkeys. Both Gecko and Cat had been pleasant company. Gecko was a stoic, calm and composed man. Naruto had yet to see him raise his voice. He was quite friendly, in an aloof way. Cat was warmer, obviously a good friend of Anko, and closer to Gecko, if their respective body language was to be believed. Nice tattoo. How long have you been in the NBU? Naruto snickered at the trio's expression. Yes, I can see it. People with this special tattoo can see it on fellow wearers. Otherwise, a powerful illusion makes it invisible, unless it's a genjutsu expert. Pity it doesn't work on me. Anko immediately understood. Genjutsu manipulated the target's own chakra flowing through the brain to trap him in an illusion. However, as Naruto had no chakra at all, he was completely immune. The snake lady made a mental note for further use. I've been in it for a year. The woman stared down at him, her face neutral. Now I will have to kill you for learning my secret. The tone was icy and the killing intent was impressive. Except it was nothing compared to Anko's. Good bluff, but I don't buy it. Killing a team member in the middle of a mission is unwise, and I'm pretty sure if you're in the ANBU, you're trusted enough not to be a double agent. I don't have to be a double agent to kill. Maybe I just hate you and we're looking for an excuse. Maybe taking you out of the city was part of a much grander plan to have you accidentally killed without the Hokage executing us as punishment. Naruto laughed and then stopped, once he realized Gekko and Anko's expression was deathly scary. Gekko looked like an iceman, and Anko was simply grinning. Which was very, very creepy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not funny. A sword flew out of Cat's sleeve. Wait. Finally understanding he was in it for his life, Naruto brought out his knives. You want to fight, bitches? Bring it. Cat let go a cheerful laugh. As Anko roared in laughter and Gekko smirked, Naruto realized he had been conned. He pointed a finger at Cat. You evil mastermind. You improvised on the fly. You still have much to learn. Truth to be told, Yuga was enjoying herself a lot. Anko had been right. Teasing the kid was a wonderful pleasure. Of course, the snake lady's idea of teasing was unique. Do not, under any circumstance, reveal everything you have learned about someone until the person has earned your trust. The fact we're on the same team doesn't mean you're safe. Backstabbing is all too common in the shinobi world. What if I was a double agent? Gekko spoke. Cat might be trusted for being chosen as ANBU and me? You don't know who I am, my story, my abilities, and my allegiance might not be unquestionable. I'm untrustworthy. Letting me know Cat is an ANBU could have had tragic consequences down the line. Naruto closed his mouth. There was nothing more to be said. He should have been more careful. I fucked up. Again, he added under his breath, to himself. Naruto was unaware his three teammates picked up that short monologue. Anko decided to have a mentor talk with him. Gekko narrowed his eyes, and Cat couldn't help but try to salvage things. Making mistakes is human, Atlas, she said softly. You're very good for a newbie. Take it as a chance to improve. And don't swear. Right. Naruto gave her the Mato guy pose. Let the fire of, if you say youth, you're dead, student. Anko sighed. Look, it's your first mission, so it's expected for you to screw up. We infiltrators do no start paranoid, we become paranoid. You must remember the single most important piece of advice I can give you. Unless you can trust people with your life, never tell them everything you know. Roger that. Good. The snake lady grinned. Of course, it's not important. Everyone here has read your dossier and learned what you're capable of. Naruto froze. It must have forgot. Atlas is a skilled herbalist, poison user, chemist, trap maker, weapon designer, Cat began. Atlas is an explosives expert, created new medications, and shows signs of having photographic memory. He's good with taijutsu, and his cooking is so bad it can be considered a biological weapon. Stop, Naruto interrupted, palming his face. Do not get to that part, please. Land of Rivers, Tanigakure. Tanigakure couldn't be called a hidden village. Hidden villages were glorified fortresses. There were civilians inside, yes, and many ninjas. Konoha was a base of operation, with natural protections, impressive security, omnipresent ANBU. The place was a military dictatorship and reminded it to all visitors. Tanigakure was the complete opposite. As the name of village hidden in valleys implied, it was placed in a valley, at the convergence of 4 rivers. The land was fertile, the grass green, rice fields surrounded the city, and bridges were omnipresent in the streets, necessary to cross the numerous streams. The roads were paved, the town in itself was small, and mostly composed of pagodas of varying height. The biggest, which housed the local daimyo and welcomed fire and wind's courts, had 13 floors, a majestic brown and black tower. The architect was compensating for something, that was sure. The group received a welcome befitting of Anko's fake rank. Noblemen came at her like hungry flies, servants arrived to attend to her needs, and guards recorded her and her followers' faces, names and features. Naruto was promptly forgotten after Anko's absent-mindedly asked him to run errands for her, which he quickly interpreted as reconnaissance. As he saw her enter the main tower with her 2 bodyguards, the blonde memorized the faces of every single one of the snake lady's suitors for further investigation. Putting his photographic memory to good use, Naruto went on to observe the streets and key points of the city, the location of every bridge, the plan of the town, the places to avoid. From small talks with the inhabitants and shopkeepers, Naruto learned why Tanigakure was so different from the usual hidden village. Unlike Konohanins, the city's ninjas were a police force of sort, in charge of maintaining the peace and protecting the country against invasions. Taxes on the civilian populace was the main source of funding, not mercenary work. Tanigakure was the central source of food and agriculture on this side of the continent, bringing economic prosperity to the land. Rivers had been invaded only once and benefited from the protection of fire and wind, so militarization wasn't necessary. In fact, the populace considered it a waste of time and money. After 1 hour of reconnaissance work, Naruto's tranquil walk was interrupted by a scream. He turned around in an instant, his instinct kicking in. The blonde was welcomed by a surprising and distasteful sight. A teen. Black hair, his face against the wall. 2 thugs beating him up. No police nearby to rescue him and prevent Naruto from hesitating between maintaining his cover and doing the right thing. Hey, he was Naruto Uzumaki. He could do both. Punching the first guy from behind, Naruto knocked him out in one blow. The other thug stared at the newcomer, froze for a second, and received a knee hit to the genitals. The teen seized his hair and tossed him to the ground, proceeding to beat the crap out of him. The blonde consciously faked a crude, unprofessional trashing. He would look like a heroic, normal bystander. Not a ninja undercover. You're alright? Naruto asked, offering a hand to the victim once his attackers were out of action. Thanks, the guy replied, accepting the help. Nearly all his face was covered with bandages, save the left eye. The teen had a deep voice, and wore a gray outfit. Looked at them the wrong way, and they didn't like it. Thanks, Mr. Suzaku, Naruto spoke, upon shaking the guy's hand. I'm a servant of some crazy noble lady from Konoha. The name is Dosu. The teen's gaze grew cold. You work in the tower? For a tree hugger? Must be tempting to pour poison down her throat. The venomous tone didn't disturb Naruto, at least outwardly. After a short second considering the answer, the infiltrator shrugged. Oh, I would love to, but got to earn money, and I'm not good at many things. You're good at fighting. Dosu snorted. Hey, want a drink? My treat, gotta be even with you. I'd love to, but I've got work to do, he replied politely. Going to get beaten up if I'm late, or fired. Or both. Dosu gritted his teeth, before loosening the pressure. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you. I got the feeling we're gonna meet again soon. Naruto's room. His bedroom was huge. Alright, technically it was Anko's bedroom and bigger than Naruto's own apartment. There was a lot of space, splendid tapestries, mirrors, private bathrooms, king-size beds as personal servants of Anko. The rest of the team had graciously been allowed to stay in the suite, as long as they slept on the ground. Stupid guy, Naruto muttered, writing files on the tower staff for Anko to read. Moron. I'm sure whoever you're talking about would love to hear you. Naruto froze, as Anko walked in front of him, grinning. The blonde massaged his temples. I trapped the door. Locked it. Trapped the windows too. Added microphones, just in case. So why do you keep sneaking up on me? I'm that good, she shot back, crossing her arms. You're talking about Gecko? Look, I know it had to hurt your pride, and took it badly due to your overcompetitive streak, but Cat is one of our most promising ANBU and Gecko a Kenjutsu Mas. Cat and Gecko? I was talking about the Wind Daimyo. Anko blinked in surprise, and her student scowled. Overcompetitive streak? Don't try to switch subject. The snake lady accused him, childishly trying to cover her mistake. We will have a moment of honesty later, don't think you can avoid the subject. But back on the Wind Daimyo. In Anko's mind, the problem with her student was very simple. Naruto had a compulsive need to prove himself better than others. Much like Guy and Anko herself, the blonde was overcompetitive, but took it to extremes. Naruto hadn't thought twice about challenging and beating 9 genin, or accepting an A-rank mission from the Hokage. Most people would have turned down the offer, but not Uzumaki. He had to show he could do anything. As a result, he didn't take failures and mistakes well. Naruto face-palmed, and obeyed. I've worked on the background of the staff of the Fire Daimyo, nothing out of the norm. As the guards are checking if people entering the tower are wearing henge or using genjutsu, the enemy will come from the inside. Probably from Wind's court. As Anko made no comment, Naruto carried on. I spoke with the Wind Daimyo's staff, and many people are unhappy with the treaty. Land of Fire's products are cheaper than their own, and Suna is afraid the end of taxes on transport would be a crushing blow for their economy. Wind's resources are mostly minerals, and their food is more costly than other countries thanks to less fertile grounds. Opening the frontiers would kill the little agriculture they have left and make them dependent on rivers and fire for provisioning, and it enrages the Kagaseo. The Wind Daimyo is making an enemy out of the strongest military leader of his land, who has the means to kill him easily. He's an idiot. The Wind Daimyo has drastically reduced Suna's funding over the last decade, Anko whispered. He has outsourced many missions to Konoha. As he does not have a clear successor, his assassination might cause Wind to fall into civil war, preventing the Kagaseo from simply removing him altogether. Yet, Suna's ANBU isn't present at the summit, whereas Konoha has sent at least a token escort. The daimyo trusts his personal guard alone to ensure his safety. Unfortunately, Suna isn't the sole possible perpetrator. Our enemies wouldn't like to see us reinforcing ourselves. Naruto crossed his arms. What do we do next? Negotiations will go on for weeks until the treaty is finalized and signed. This leaves plenty of time for assassins to sneak in. From now on, you will study the background of any newcomer, and investigate on the Wind's court. Deal. Naruto coughed. The summit's opening is tonight. Am I supposed to attend? No, you have another assignment. Anko took one object from her own bags and tossed it to her student. Naruto identified it as a wireless radio upon catching it. You will find an excuse to get out of the tower. Wanting to party, visiting family, I can't care less. You will spend the night outside. You will find yourself a roof, and watch over who gets in and out of the place. Cat will stay on standby, and you will exchange info with these radios. If you see someone suspicious enter, Cat will tail them. Alright, outside roof. Where is the red light district, please? Best excuse to sneak into the night with a bag and without arousing the guards' suspicions. I need to use that pun somewhere, Naruto thought. Finding a roof hadn't been hard. Climbing to it, however, fortunately, the bag contained all the blonde's useful stuff. Shrugging his civilian clothes for his night uniform, Naruto turned into a shadow. With a grappling hook, patience, and hard work, the blonde reached the top of a 6th-floor pagoda, half a kilometer away from the main tower. Discreetly checking out nobody lived underneath the roof, Naruto started to install himself. It would be a long, long night without sleep. Fortunately, he had brought a lot of coffee. Searching inside his bag, Naruto brought out a telescope. He might have keen eyes, but the blonde wasn't a hawk and didn't have night vision. He had figured out that a telescope would be a useful tool for nightly assassinations and recon. Fortunately, the door's guards were keeping torches, and the weather was good. The full moon above the city provided a useful source of light. Atlas to Cat, he whispered through the radio. Someone? Cat to Atlas, a familiar voice replied. I have to check out your identity. What did you call me when I pranked you, evil mastermind? I should have chosen brilliant jerk. Alright, it's you. You're in position? I'm watching, Naruto said, looking through the telescope. Nothing to report yet. And you? It's quite calm. The Fire Daimyo and his Wind's counterpart are going to make a speech very soon on furthering their alliance, and negotiations will open tomorrow. The Guardian Ninjas and the ANBU are not letting the Daimyos out of their sight. Same deal with the Wind Daimyo's guard. Both Daimyo have yet to eat anything. So they were afraid of poisoning. To be expected. The rest of the team? Viper is attracting a sizable bunch of males and feeding them lies. Gecko is not far away, silent as a stone. Cat fell silent. Naruto briefly wondered if the radios didn't work anymore. The female ANBU spoke once again. How is the moon? Startled by the question, Naruto shrugged. Full and beautiful. Why? Watching it is a hobby of mine, she replied. Here it is. Look at the 3rd floor. The balcony? Naruto did as he was told, and noticed Cat standing near the edge, alone. She was staring at the moon, seemingly lost in her thoughts. Her face was easy to see under the moonlight. See you? You do know the ballroom is on the 2nd floor? Shouldn't you check it? He saw her smile. I'm taking a break. Do you have one? A hobby? Training and planning to defeat everyone I meet, he deadpanned. You're top on my list. Could you wait after the mission to try? You might bite off more than you can chew. She stopped. Why did you said again? Naruto immediately understood, and cursed under his breath. You could hear me? Please. The entire team heard you. You didn't answer my question, Naruto snorted. Why bother? It's unimportant. It's about your shortcomings, isn't it? The blonde almost crushed the radio with his bare fingers. The interrogation had struck a nerve. I am going to be the strongest ninja in the world. Yet, even the worst shinobi has an advantage over me. If I want to keep up, I have to be the best at everything. The best actor, the best archer, the best killer. I can't tolerate mistakes. Any mistake. Cat fell silent. I see. Atlas, there's a limit to what one man can achieve. Oh true, he replied, continuing his watch. But how can I know my limits, if I don't try surpassing them? Days repeated themselves. Naruto continued his investigation, watched the tower's entryways, slept, and repeated the process. Nothing noteworthy happened. The negotiations continued, the nobles entertained themselves with visits, hunts, and shogi. They discussed, took their time, and delayed the accord's signature. Anko and company gathered as much information as they could on the staff and court. Half of it belonged to the daimyos themselves, and the rest was above suspicions in theory. But since the unseen blade was the deadliest, the team was keeping an eye on everyone. However, there were main suspects. Anko had noticed at least 3 people who had definite reasons to dislike either of the daimyos present, be it because they lost family thanks to konoha, or out of rampant nationalism. In Naruto's mind, the attack would come from Suna itself. The Kazekage hated his leader with passion, and wouldn't find seeing him gone. Overall, the mission was pretty boring, and Naruto was seriously getting impatient. It changed when he met Dosu again, at the exact same spot he saved the boy from being bullied. Tell me, Suzaku, he started, would you wish to be a ninja? To be strong? The blonde laughed. For the power to walk on water? I would do anything. Unfortunately, it's an impossible dream. Dosu glanced around himself, and started whispering to his ear. Not anymore. Naruto waited for him to elaborate, and he did. I met people that can make you stronger than any ninja. They're looking for teens with attitude, and they're recruiting. If you want, I can introduce you to them. They might give you a chance. It sounded shady and was probably a joke, but Naruto had nothing better to do with his time. It may prove to be amusing. I'm in. 1 hour later, they entered a big, magnificent pagoda, protected by 2 samurai guards. They silently appraised the two, and let them pass. Dosu opened the wooden door and invited Naruto inside a corridor. The scarred boy opened the second door to the left, and the duo found themselves in an office. I see you brought our new candidate, Dosu-kun. The man had short black hair, eyes of the same color, and an unremarkable face. His voice was soft, and he was wearing a black business suit. He looked like some friendly, affable salesman. What's your name? Suzaka. Suzaka-kun. Fu, it's a nice name. The man's smile was unsettling. I like your eyes. I can see your whole life inside you were a victim and toughened up, isn't that it? You have determination, smarts, guts, and no power. Do you seek power? I was told I could gain it here, only if you meet my standards. You will have to pass a psychological examination, to see if you have the right mindset, and later a physical examination, to see if you are not too frail to be of use. It was pretty much the usual tests to enter ninja academies, so Naruto nodded. His interest was growing. Perhaps was this guy a missing nin looking for some muscles? The man showed him a seat, and Naruto sat in silence, taking the opportunity to examine the office. The walls were yellow and decorated with tapestries representing dragons and phoenixes. It had no windows, and the door seemed reinforced to prevent sound from getting out. The businessman dismissed Dosu with a hand gesture, and the teen closed the door. I will say a series of words, and you will have to answer with one of your own. Suna? Desert. Konoha? Easy. Assholes. The man laughed at that. Ninja? Powerful. Murder? Solution. Work? Necessary. Authority? Obedience. Jinchuriki? It took everything for Naruto not to pale. Enemy, he said, after a short blank. The man locked eyes with him for minutes, creeping him out, before asking a new question with a frightening smirk. Naruto Uzumaki? Awesome. The man chuckled, and the blonde glared at him. Who are you exactly? Oh, he hissed like a snake. I am certain Anko-chan spoke fondly of her old teacher. I'm so very, very dead. Gotta find a way out. Your reveal is lame. Did you take it out of a Princess Gale movie? It actually made the disguised Orochimaru blink in surprise. Naruto took it as an invitation to continue. Yeah, I mean, it's so cliché. You invite the student of your former student, probably to tempt him to the dark side, and then do a we can rule together speech. I have seen that times and times again. It's getting old. Naruto left his chair and moved toward the door, as the Sannin watched at him blankly. See you around once you find a better scenario. Oh, and smoke bomb. Throwing, smoke bombs taken from his pockets at the older ninja, Naruto brutally opened the door, prepared to run out for his life, and someone applied a ether-laced handkerchief to his face, quickly knocking him out cold. Tobiman is awesomely surprising, the masked man said, taking the unconscious blonde in his arms. The Akatsuki member glanced at Orochimaru's office. Is Dr. Snake fine? Yes, the Sannin said, emerging from the smoke. It seems Anko taught him psychological manipulation of the highest level. I admit, this trick was unexpected. The missing ninja then glanced at his ally. Did you place the bomb? Tobi nodded. Deidara-senpai made a big petard. Hours later, somewhere in the land of rivers, Naruto scoffed, opening his eyes slowly. Now I know how my victims felt. Did you have nice dreams, Naruto-kun? Hopefully yes. The blonde jerked his head to the side, noticing Orochimaru grinning at him. As expected, the Jinchuriki was restrained to an operation table by tight chains, unable to move the rest of his body. Apparently, the Sannin was too smart to use ropes. Naruto stared around himself. The place was dark and illuminated by candles, and it was pretty much like a mad scientist's lab. It was full of bottles containing questionable-looking substances, dead animals kept from decomposing by a green liquid, and scrolls. Orochimaru himself had dropped his former business outfit for a white surgeon grown and revealed his true form. His skin was as white as milk, his hair long and black, his eyes golden and freaky. In them, Naruto didn't notice any hint of humanity. Looking for an escape? The Sannin gave his prisoner a smug smile, before showing Naruto his sealing bag. I'm afraid without your tools, it might prove to be difficult, especially since I have a few hundred men handy and I am no weakling myself. Impressive sealing work, however. I might replicate this object for my own use one of these days. He caressed his cheeks, upon placing the bag near other potions. Since I am your teacher's teacher, maybe it would be better if you were to call me Orochimaru-sensei or Orochimaru-sama, don't you agree? I was going to call you Snakey, to be honest, Naruto deadpanned, sarcasm being his only option for now. Perhaps could he talk his way out? I see Anko-chan failed to teach you politeness then again, she never learned it herself. The man narrowed his eyes at the teen. I admit, your infiltration was flawless. If I hadn't been informed of your arrival and your disguise, I wouldn't have recognized you, Suzaka-kun. You were informed? Naruto guessed instantly. How long was I under surveillance? Since you were old enough to walk. Unfortunately, A and B, you were too omnipresent for a kidnapping to happen, and Tobi's power has limits I have yet to understand. So Sasori focused on keeping you under our radar, waiting for an opportunity to snatch you away from Konoha, which Sarutobi gladly provided. The man snickered. Sending a demon vessel outside the village, in peace times, without an escort? Seriously, I wonder if my old teacher isn't going senile. I guess his age finally caught up with his atrophied brain. Sasori? As in, Sasori of the Red Sand, the legendary spy master? And what do you mean by our radar? As the Sannin simply grinned, Naruto creased his eyebrows. Since he would get no answer on the subject, he asked another question. I suppose the incident with Dosu was staged. I wanted to get a better grasp on your personality before kidnapping you, and between your psychological test and your rescue, I have found flaws to exploit. Orochimaru shrugged. Dosu-kun is a good ninja. Obedient, reliable, courteous. I thought you would get along, and when he would give you an offer, you would walk into a trap without much forethought. If you were watching me, why didn't you kidnap me sooner? And why are you taking me? To extract the Kyuubi? Orochimaru searched in his substances. Why now, you wonder? The confusion caused by the bomb will occupy Konoha, instead of your disappearance. Bomb? As for why we want you, Orochimaru trailed off, blatantly ignoring the question. To be honest, Naruto-kun, I didn't care about you in the slightest, until I learned Anko had taken you under her wing. Is she doing well? Reports on her tend to be conflicting. Sometimes they say she's a sexual deviant, and others explain she's never seen with anyone. Naruto glared at the missing nin. I don't know what happened between you and her, but apparently it wasn't nice. Don't pretend you care to gain my sympathy. Anko was my finest student, the man replied, bringing it out a syringe and filling it with a solution. It was a green serum, kept in an iron canister, which Orochimaru closed right after finishing his work. Did you know she was the top kunoichi of her year? Her grades were even better than those of Niji Hyuga and Sasuke Uchiha. She never disappointed me. Out of 10 people, she was the only one to survive my cursed seal. It was impressive. Curse seal, gotta remember that term. And yet you abandoned her. Well, yes. Orochimaru chuckled callously. I could have killed her to cover my tracks, but it would have been a waste of human worth. I couldn't bring myself to kill her. Since she was unfortunately too traumatized by my latest experimentation, I was forced to leave her in Konoha. Is it so hard for you to imagine I might be interested in learning how my legacy is doing? I am a sentimental man. Sentimental man? Naruto snorted at the blatant lie. You don't see her as a person, do you? You're just curious about what happened to your guinea pig, perhaps. The Sannin turned around, the syringe ready. To return to your question, an extraction would take too much time, and to train a container into using the Kyuubi's power is bothersome. So, we want to recruit a full-grown Jinchuriki. You, with enough body alterations, you will be able to master the Biju's chakra and use it for our benefit. Naruto grinned. It would be a pleasure to join you. I never really liked Konoha anyway, since they, hated my guts since I was born. Free me, and I'm all yours. Orochimaru smirked. I would be a fool to trust someone so happy to switch sides. Fortunately, we have many means to turn you into an obedient soldier. Like, for example, Guy and his team may never return from their next mission outside Konoha's walls, if you try backstabbing us. The Sannin leaned over Naruto's face to better read his reaction. The blonde managed to keep a straight face. Oh, the hell does he? Yes, I have been under watch. Fuck, Kumo hasn't forgotten the Hyuga affair. One word from me, and they will send a squad after this prodigy and his team. Oh, and what are their names? Yes. Orochimaru licked his lips. Tuchi and Ayam, isn't that? Civilians are always vulnerable to accidents. It would be a shame if they were to fall down some stairs and break their necks. Truly a shame. The Konoha nin would have enjoyed wiping that grin from the bastard's face, if he could have gotten past these chains. Alright, he said, understanding the man wasn't above killing one of his loved ones to see whether or not Naruto cared for them. What do you want? Oh, nothing hard. Killing people, launching Bijudama on targets, that sort of things. Of course, you will be handsomely rewarded. Orochimaru showed him the syringe. You came here for power, didn't you? Here it is. Naruto glanced at the liquid. What is that? Ooze? I was told you were unable to use chakra, Orochimaru whispered softly, his prisoner scowling in answer. Here is the cure to your condition. This is a serum composed of enzymes, modified proteins, and special cells. A performance enhancer developed to create super soldiers, the new stage of the cursed seal, codename Samsara. Sasori was always good with nicknames. Naruto glanced uneasily at the substance. A performance enhancer? How is it supposed to help me? He asked, unable to hide the hint of interest in his voice. It will allow your body to achieve its true potential, and no doubt it will cure your ailment. The scientist prepared to pierce Naruto's skin. Of course, there are side effects. Like a dependence on the product. Yet another way to make certain you will obey. Naruto tried to free his arms from the chains, in vain. Orochimaru raised his tool. An earthquake shook the room, and the Sannin staggered. The man groaned, and touched a ring he had on his hand. Deidara, what is happening? He spoke to thin air, making Naruto doubt his sanity. Unless it was sensor-induced communication. Yamanaka were able to pull it off. Orochimaru's expression progressively worsened, until he was seething with rage, and then he grinned devilishly. I see. He released his grip on the ring, and posed the syringe among other solutions. If you will excuse me, Naruto-kun, he said, leaving the blonde's sight, it seems my old teacher has decided to pay me a visit. Please stay quiet while I welcome him. Naruto heard the sound of a door closing. He glanced at his sealing bag. If only he could reach it, it would be easy to get rid of the chains. Minutes passed, and a few earthquakes shook the room in quick succession. It seems the old man managed to track me, he thought, but so fast he was supposed to be in Konoha. Coming to the land of rivers in such a short time, there is only one possibility. Naruto had been a bait. Old man, you magnificent bastard! The prisoner shouted to himself, in awe before the ruthless plan. You knew Orochimaru knew I would be sent to the land of rivers. Sarutobi never intended for his protege to help foil the daimyo's assassination simply to attract the snake's attention and trap him. The Hokage must have a way to track me down, the shinobi guessed. Maybe a function of my seal. He heard the door opening, and someone walked into view. Although she was wearing a cat mask and the standard A&B uniform, Naruto instantly recognized Cat. Before you ask, no, I haven't been molested, the blonde joked. Wait, she said, unsheathing her tanto, I will free you. What happened? He asked, as she channeled chakra into her blade. Orochimaru mentioned the Hokage paying him a visit. And a bomb. And where are we exactly? The Sandaime, a full platoon of ANBU, and nearly all the forces stationed in the land of rivers, Cat corrected, cutting the chains in one precise strike, leaving her teammate free and unharmed. This is an underground base located in the countryside. We wouldn't have been able to find it without the Sandaime's guidance, so he has a way to find me when he wants to, probably only him, or else I would have been arrested after one of my pranks, or during the Forbidden Scrolls theft. As for a bomb, Cat trailed off, as Naruto's feet touched the ground. Short story, someone had a bomb explode during a public conference between both daimyos. How they smuggled it into the building, we have no idea, but there are at least 24 casualties, including the Wind Daimyo. And the Fire Daimyo? He asked, recovering his sealing bag. A good thing Orochimaru had been too focused on finishing off his former teacher to take it with him. The daimyo always sends a body double during public apparitions, Cat shrugged, a precaution that saved his life, at the cost of his copy. Unfortunately, evidence implicates the participation of Suna, and I am afraid the terrorist attack started a diplomatic crisis. The Fire Daimyo is accusing Wind, and tensions are escalating. A false flag operation. Orochimaru all but admitted being linked to it. You will share this information with Sarutobi-sama once we find him, Cat said, turning her back on him. Fights are happening throughout the complex. It would be good if we were to participate. 2 seconds. Naruto looked at the drugs, and found the canister he was seeking. Samsara, he thought upon reading the kanji on it, and placing the substance in his bag. You're coming with me. What are you doing? Cat asked, opening the door. Hurry. Yeah, he said, bringing out his bow. Let's go kick some asses. Chapter 4. Escalation. Kidamaru was having a bad day. Not bad as in pretty bad, but not the worst I've had, but bad as in fuck this can't get any worse. He and the rest of the Sound Four were currently outside the base, fighting with Orochimaru against the freaking Sandaime Hokage and 2 of his men. One was sick-looking guy wielding a sword who was good enough to hold his ground against the Sannin in a blade duel, whereas the other was a snake-summoning girl with apparently no sense of decency. Seriously, how could she fight with that attire? Yet, it was the toughest battle Kidamaru had ever fought. Considerably worse than Kimimara's legendary trashing. In his case, it was a hopeless boss fight, but here it must be the final boss, the gamer thought, shooting arrows at the enemy team while being protected by Jirubu's ramparts of earth. Meanwhile, both Sakan and Yukon were struggling with the snake girl, who was unleashing volley upon volley of explosive kunais at their faces, and Taiyuya was preparing a sound-based genjutsu. It should be noted all the Sound Four had unleashed the full power of the Curse Seal. And then, the old Hokage is probably going to adopt a monstrous monkey-based super form. A final boss always does that shit. Fortunately, Taiyuya's illusion finally took effect by paralyzing the sword guy in place. Kidamaru instantly seized the opportunity by firing 3 arrows at his target's head, heart, and spine. The golden projectiles impacted with a sickening sound, forming bloody wounds. The man fell from the strikes, dead before he hit the ground. 1 down, 2 more to go, Kidamaru noted, finally feeling like a winner. I must have leveled up now, gotta get more XP. An arrow covered with explosive seals hit Taiyuya's back, causing a large blast. For a second, the Spider-Man was at loss of words. Wait, it wasn't me. So he turned around, as one blonde archer emerged from the base, switching from the bow to a strange device. Oh come on, not new flunkies. Jirubu groaned and made hand seals to crush the new threat, only to be cut into 24 pieces by a masked ANBU, wielding a sword and wearing a cat mask. The tanto was wrapped in wind, and would probably cut even stone. Fuck! Taiyuya swore, recovering from the sneak attack. As she moved her flute to her lips, her attacker activated his device, a long metal rod connected to his bag by a cable. In an instant, it unleashed a long, bright stream of fire at the girl, making her scream in agony as her clothes and skin started burning. Atlas' secret technique. The blonde chuckled maniacally. Ninja barbecue. Yes, it was all about psychological warfare, and Kidamaru knew damn well it was meant to be intimidating, but the hint of sadism in the guy's voice was all too real to ignore. That, and Sakan and Yukon were getting strangled to death by snakes, leaving the Spider-Man as the only guard still standing. Gotta escape, gotta escape. At that moment, the masked ANBU noticed her dead teammate, her killing intent flaring fiercely. She stared at the golden arrows, then at Kadamaru's bow, and finally at his face. "I'm so screw" was his last thought before the sword of a very angry woman sliced him in half. And it started so well, Orochimaru inwardly cursed, dodging a blow from his sensei's monkey staff. Pushing back the old geezer with a wind jutsu, the Sannin wondered how the hell his teacher could have been informed of his presence in the land of rivers. A mole, he decided, there is a mole in Akatsuki. And what is Sasori doing? Snakes sprung toward him, an attack he easily countered when his own reptiles emerged from his sleeve. Anko-chan. He chuckled at his former pupil. How long has it been since we crossed path together? 12 years? It feels like a century for me and far too long. The lady threw a dozen kunai at his face. You used me as a guinea pig, what can I say? You weren't fit to serve as my new body, I had to go seek a better one. Can you imagine the time I lost because of you? He shot back, trying to anger her in hopes she would slip up, while countering the projectiles with his kusanagi. As expected, Anko snarled and entered the range of his control. Yes, he shouted, activating the curse seal on his student's neck, and apparently failing, as Anko shot a fireball at him, unfazed. Creating a wall of earth as protection, the Sannin quickly guessed the reason of his failure. You had Jiraiya place a seal to contain mine? It was an experiment from Danzo, actually, Sarutobi said, leaping next to Anko and making hand seals. Fire release, fire dragon flame bullet, wind release, heaven's breath. The snake lady added, as the streams of wind and fire fused into a large, deadly inferno. Rash omen. Orochimaru snarled, upon summoning the gigantic gate as protection. I have no choice, he thought, I will have to use the Edo Tens. A cat-masked ANBU attacked from his left side, attempting a vertical slash that would have probably cut him in half, hadn't he been faster. Parrying with the kusanagi, Orochimaru shattered her mask with a punch and prepared to behead the woman, while she was dizzy from the blow. Unfortunately, Naruto-kun fired an arrow at his face, which he barely avoided. Get away from her! He shouted, upon preparing a second shot. The ANBU seized the opportunity to regain her momentum and prepare another strike. This is getting too complicated to deal with. Besides, I have to secure my experiments, Orochimaru thought, dodging both a sword swing and a second arrow. Sensei, it will have to wait for another time, but I'm going to leave a mark of my passage. As you wish. The Sannin snarled, upon closing the gap between him and the blonde with a shunshin. Before the boy could blink, the missing nin shoved the kusanagi through his chest, cutting through ribs and spilling blood. Then he callously tossed the body to the side. Now, if the QB wouldn't mind speeding up, brat. Anko roared, upon seeing her apprentice's state. Her killing intent increased and turned nearly unbearable. You will pay for that, old asshole. Yes, yes, Orochimaru snorted derisively, smirking when his plan started working. Red chakra surrounded the bloody blonde, adopting the shape of a beast. Maybe you focus on your apprentice first. Who knows, he might shed his skin and turn into a fox. As expected, the group became more preoccupied by the Uzumaki than by Orochimaru, who vanished through the earth. Next time, he whispered, as Sarutobi rushed to Naruto's side. Next time, old geezer, he was in a sewer. A fucking sewer. And he had one hell of a headache. Hello, is there someone here? Naruto shouted, before arriving in front of a large, dark cage. Hey, is this some kind of underground zoo? Claws nearly went past the bars, much to the blonde's amazement. Pitiful maggot, a deep, inhuman voice resonated, as two giant red eyes shined in the dark. I would gladly kill you if I could get past this damnable seal. Well, the feeling is mutual, asshole. Naruto glared at what was most obviously the QB. You ruined my life. I saved it, arrogant worm. The fox leaned its head against the bars, glaring at the teen. Without my chakra you would be laying in your blood, so you will treat me with the respect I deserve. Respect? Respect is earned, not given. And you've done nothing to earn respect from me. Your chakra sabotaged my body, you jerk. Naruto pointed a finger at the beast. And why did you do it, in the first place? To make me dependent on you. As revenge for being sealed? Answer me, you old fox. The creature stayed silent a few seconds, and then exploded into roaring laughter, and increased the volume once Naruto creased his eyebrows. After a long laugh, the beast calmed itself, and answered with the most derisive tone possible. To spite you. Naruto's eyes snapped open at that comment, and he left the sewer for a white hospital room. You furry little piece of, Atlas, please do not finish that sentence as long as I am within earshot. Kat leaned her head over to lock eyes with her teammate. She had dropped the ANBU uniform and mask for a black-sleeved robe. And please calm yourself. You are still weak. You should listen to your teammate, young man. Sarutobi Hiruzen opened the only windows, and then sat next to the blonde's bed, on a small chair. Especially since you were under anesthesia not so long ago. Naruto took his breath for a few seconds, dizzy and confused. After managing to calm himself, he stared at his limbs. He was wearing a hospital gown, and had bandages over his skin. Where am I? And how long was I out? You were comatose for around 3 days, the Hokage replied softly. We are in Konoha's hospital. You were transferred here as fast as I could. Fortunately, your days aren't numbered. I remember a flash of red, pain, and in power and blood. The memories were disjointed, as if he hadn't been in full control back then. It was the Kyuubi's chakra, I think. When Orochimaru stabbed you, the seal responded by allowing the Kyuubi to send you some of its power. Cat took his hand gently. Due to your undeveloped chakra pathways, the process both caused internal damage and accelerated cellular multiplication. The chakra hurt and cured you at the same time, so you must have lost a few years to live. Nice, the blonde deadpanned, slightly feeling uneasy about the physical contact. It was the lesser evil. The Kuzunagi's poison is lethal, but fortunately, the Kyuubi's chakra expunged it from your bloodstream. The Hokage snorted. However, your body was so tired it entered a state of deep sleep after the demon's chakra receded into the seal. I see, got to do some exercises, the ninja said upon pushing Cat's hand away and rose from his bed. Sarutobi creased his eyebrows disapprovingly, as his protégé's feet touched the ground. You should rest a bit more. 3 days is already too long in my book, he shot back while doing some stretching. What happened to Orochimaru? And Gekko? Did he? Cat's depressed expression told it all, and Naruto suddenly realized she was dressed for mourning. Oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't. It's nothing, the ANB replied stoically. It's nothing. Sarutobi's expression worsened. Cat, would you kindly leave the two of us, and get some rest? You haven't slept enough, and I have to talk with the boy privately. As Hokage-sama wishes, she said with a sharp nod, bowing slightly before leaving the room and two men in silence. The old man sighed, and brought his pipe out from under his robes. She is deeply wounded. Those two were lovers, and Hate Gekko's funeral happened this morning. I see. Naruto lowered his eyes, upon learning the man's real name. I didn't know this Hate Gekko enough to befriend him, but it's sad he's leaving a loved one behind. His eyes widened. Wait, the funeral was this morning. How long had she been watching over me? Since after she took an hour to mourn over his grave. Sarutobi lit his pipe. You received your wound saving her life, so it isn't that surprising. Shouldn't you avoid smoking in an hospital? Naruto's eyes flickered toward the window. And who else came to see me? The old man grinned like some affable grandfather. It shall be our little secret. Anko visited you as many times as she could, along with Iruka. Guy's team came, I am too, and even Sasuke Uchiha. Memories rushed to his mind, making the blonde panic. Oh hell, I forgot. Orochimaru spoke of someone called Sasori, and said I was under our radar. I think more than one missing nin is involved, and they have been observing me long enough to know who I am friends with. Snakey threatened to kill them if I wasn't obedient. They may be in danger. Sarutobi scowled. Counterintelligence isn't what it used to be, he noted dryly. I will do what is necessary to protect them. NBU watchers should be good. I would ask that you reduce your social activities, but that may tip off the moles that you do care for them. Go ahead and visit the Ikarakas, your team, Guy's team, and maybe Iruka Yumino and Uchiha Sasuke. The latter is already under closer surveillance by my men, but please avoid everyone else. We wouldn't want a growing list of hostages. Too true. Then how did you guess Orochimaru would? He blinked. You have moles among his men? I have moles in every organization worth infiltrating, young man. Sarutobi released a cloud of smoke from his lips. I see you guessed why I arrived so quickly to rescue you. Naruto nodded darkly. I was a bait for the snake, wasn't I? Yes, the old man replied bluntly. I had been informed he was looking forward to sabotaging the daimyo summit. Hence I sent you to it. My student was too greedy to miss the opportunity of capturing a bijou so easily, and too proud to realize it was all part of a grander plan. I didn't inform you, or anyone else on your team, because I was afraid Orochimaru might have seen through your acting. Whereas genuine surprise, Sarutobi glanced at the teen's belly. Soon after your birth, one of my most trusted friends and one of our best seal crafters, Danzo, added a failsafe to the Yondame's seal, allowing the two of us and my remaining teammates to track you, should you be abducted. Since Kumogakure has a penchant for kidnapping young shinobi, we thought it would be for the best to keep away to keep track of you. Should the ANBU not be enough to protect you? The old man narrowed his eyes. I apologize for using you. But you must understand, it was a calculated risk. I never imagined my student would rather see you dead than not in his hands. Hey, you're the military commander, and we soldiers are supposed to take risks, Naruto replied, secretly preparing his revenge. Yes, you used me as a bait, but I'm sure it was worth it. If I want to be in the NBU, I have to expect being sacrificed for the big picture. Sarutobi blinked. You are taking this far. On a whim, Naruto attempted to kick the Sandaime between his legs and hurt his feet. Ouch! He cursed, as the Hokage grinned ear to ear. It feels like iron. These are steel underpants, the old man corrected proudly. You don't think you're the first who tried this dirty trick on me, do you? My baby grandson attempted that a week ago. He let go a disappointed sigh. I expected a better prank from you. Sorry, I was in a rush. Naruto sat on his bed and massaged his foot. I will do better next time. Yes, I'm angry to be turned into a pawn, but since I'm pretty sure the plan paid off, I won't complain. You're the boss, it's your job to make difficult decisions. Unfortunately, a difficult choice is a possibility all ninjas can face, Sarutobi whispered sadly, and if you are to serve in the ANBU, you will struggle with it your whole life. The plan was a heavy blow to Orochimaru's activities in the Land of Rivers. His private guard has been exterminated, his staff captured and being interrogated, and his installation secured. Unfortunately, my old student got away, and his research findings were smuggled away during the fighting. Except that substance Naruto kept to himself. He would have to give it to the Hokage if he were to talk, and he had plans for it. Orochimaru all but admitted being the one who bombed the summit. So you were informed. Truth to be told, even if I were to inform the Kazekage about it, without any evidence to back it up, he would not believe me. He thinks we caused the bombing and put the blame on Suna as a pretext to start a conflict, or as a ploy to increase frontier taxes to further wrecking his land's economy. The Hokage snorted. Diplomatic relationships are such a mess. With enough luck and efforts, we might avoid a conflict. But my student has successfully weakened the Konoha-Suna alliance. Alright, what do we do next? I will take care of a delicate diplomatic crisis, the old man chuckled. You, on the other hand, will take a break, until I find you a new mission to undertake. You will receive payment for an A-rank mission due to your services and an additional reward. The teen raised his head in interest. Which is? I was told you asked Anko about your heritage. Time stopped for a split second, before Naruto found the strength to answer with a nod. Why are you keeping it a secret? Because I thought you didn't have the maturity yet to accept some distasteful facts about your family. Sarutobi intertwined his fingers. But the more I see you, the more I think you are ready. However, I must warn you won't appreciate everything I'm about to reveal. I'm not some kid whining when told painful truth. Naruto crossed his arms. Anko told me the home of the Uzumaki clan, the land of whirlpools, sank for no reason. A reason called Bijou. The Hokage lit his pipe and brought it to his lips. The Uzumaki and Uzushigakure had developed sealing arts with the potential of calling entities like the Shinigami, or binding the Kyuubi, and foreign countries had grown afraid of them. The Sanbai, the three-tailed turtle, destroyed Yuzu with a gigantic tidal wave. I am convinced the third Mizukage released the beast for this purpose, although I cannot prove it. Where there was once a proud nation and people, only floating ruins and eternal whirlpools remained. So the Yondaime did indeed copy their techniques? He was taught these techniques by your mother, Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto's eyes widened at the name. She was one of the few survivors of the disaster, and she came to live in Konoha later. She was a close friend of Minato Namikaze, and the old man dropped the bomb. And she was the Kyuubi's former prison. The former she was a Jinchuriki, as was Mito Uzumaki, the wife of the first Hokage. Sarutobi shrugged his shoulders. Uzumaki and Senju had close bonds, before both clans nearly died out. Hashirama's wife followed him to the Valley of the End, and when Madara Uchiha controlled the Kyuubi to kill his rival, she had it sealed in herself. Later, at the end of her life, she passed the burden to your mother in secret. Few in the shinobi world were aware of this. The Sandaime nodded. Uzumaki are gifted with a strong life force and longevity. As such, they make the perfect containers for the tailed beasts. I cannot be sure you inherited this blessing, yet, the family curse was passed to you when you were born. But if my mother was the previous container, Naruto trailed off. Then how did it escape? The seal was weakened during her childbirth, Sarutobi said. I cannot be sure of what truly happened, due to a lack of living witnesses, but it appears the seal broke soon after your birth, and the Kyuubi was unleashed upon our city. The Yondaime was overseeing your birth, and managed to seal the beast into you before it could destroy all of Konoha at the cost of his life. Sarutobi carefully left out some details about the other side of Naruto's family. The ninja was still recovering, and too much information might cause him to commit thoughtless actions. So my mother was a Jinchuriki must explain I couldn't find anything on her by myself. Naruto raised his eyes. Do you have a photo? A picture? I have a few I was keeping for you, when you were of age. Come to my office tomorrow, and I will give them to you along with her dossier. Sarutobi sighed. Since her home was destroyed during the Kyuubi's rampage, I am afraid it's the last mementos we have from her. Although he was angry at the man to have withheld this information for so long, Naruto realized something was amiss with the Sandaime's explanations. The fact my mother was the former prison of the Kyuubi's prison does not strike me as distasteful. I mean, if she was willing to run the risk of releasing the beast by bearing me, she must have loved me a lot. Sarutobi smiled kindly. Indeed. She loved you with all her heart. He placed his pipe on his lap, his expression turning serious. As for the distasteful facts, you are not the only descendant of the Uzumaki still alive to this day. There is another confirmed as such. Your cousin, actually. Naruto froze. Another? I still have a living relative? You share the same grandfather, Sarutobi explained, scowling. But he is a renowned war criminal and mass murderer wanted across the continent. I was afraid if you were informed too early, you might foolishly try seeking him out for knowledge I did not have and face a terrible fate for your trouble. War criminal? The fact his only relative still alive belonged to such kind was shameful and painful. Would you mind giving me his name? You have been too careless, Orochimaru. And why did you harm the Uzumaki? You were supposed to keep him safe until I could speak with him. The Sannin snorted at his partner. If he had come faster to the base, none of this debacle would have happened. I was curious about Anko, and I wanted to make clear we had the means of causing him pain, should he defy us. I couldn't guess my old sensei had put a tracker on him. As for the wound, I wished to see if he could be of use to us, by tapping into the Biju's chakra. Sasori narrowed his eyes dangerously. You have wasted some of our aces, he complained. You have revealed sensitive information that should have stayed between the two of us. Especially the samsara, the bomb, and the fact we have eyes in Konoha. Pain will be very, very angry. Although Orochimaru couldn't care less about his superior's comfort, Leader was a force to be feared and handled with care. On the contrary, it will benefit us, he replied. Konoha will think we placed the bomb on our own and as such, will not suspect the Kazekage of being in our pocket. The invasion will be facilitated. This is a risky game you are playing, the puppeteer countered. It could have gone wrong in many ways. There is no victory without risk. One must know how and when to gamble, unlike my old teammate. Orochimaru crossed his arms. As for our eyes in Konoha, Sarutobi-sensei will drive himself paranoid trying to identify them, without success. In the same way, Leader will be obsessed with finding Konoha's mole. Sasori nodded gravely. Only the 10 rings were aware we intended to attack the summit. Meaning at least one of them is a traitor. The two of us, Setsu, Leader and Konan, are above suspicions. I cannot see Deidara or Kisame doing it. Kakuzu, Itachi, and Tobi are the most likely suspects. I will investigate further. The Sannin smiled inwardly at the above suspicions comment, since they were all wanted war criminals and traitors, but didn't comment. As for Samsara, Naruto-kun won't say anything. He stole the substance from my lab. The puppeteer's head jerked to the side, much to Orochimaru's morbid amusement. You believe he might keep it for himself? If he informs Sarutobi, the substance will be confiscated, and all his hopes of gaining chakra of his own will die as well. If he informs Sarutobi without telling he has the substance, my sensei will grow suspicious. Orochimaru smirked. He is obviously affected by his shortcomings. It's only a matter of time before he tries the drug on himself, gets addicted and comes begging us for more. Uzumaki cells are used in the serum, along with your special enzymes, so we cannot guess what kind of side effects might happen with him, Sasori noted. Regardless, until we have found a way to remove Naruto's tracker, we aren't to start any action against him. Better focus on the other Jinchuriki and on further testing the samsara. Orochimaru grinned wickedly. I have the perfect test candidate ready. After leaving the hospital and getting his clothes, bag, and weaponry back, Naruto moved to visit Konoha's memorial, and pay his last respects to Gekko's soul. Afterward, he wandered aimlessly, thinking about what to do next. He should visit Kat, that was obvious. She was probably depressed about her loss and emotional support would probably be appreciated. The problem was he had no idea where she lived. Finally awake, Sasuke's voice resonated, as the boy jumped in front of him. The Uchiha was covered with bruises, but his face contained a hint of happiness at seeing his rival standing. I was playing Sleeping Beauty, and waited for a princess to wake me up with a kiss. So far, I have been unlucky, Naruto deadpanned. As you can see, my latest mission roughed me up a bit. Not so much as mine, Sasuke shrugged. I've got the feeling we're going to compete for the most astonishing story, and they did compete. Although Naruto left out some details and pretended he and his sensei had simply been caught in the crossfire of a military operation. So, let's make it clear in my mind, Naruto began, once the Uchiha finished. The bridge builder you escorted lied about the mission? In fact, he was targeted by some powerful businessman who had taken over the Land of Waves by installing a blockade? And Sai managed to send a message to Konoha about the situation with an animated painting? Sasuke nodded. And Gato sent Zabuza of the Mist, one of the most notorious missing nin from Kiri, to kill Tazuna? And your team managed to beat him on your first meeting, before an accomplice disguised as a hunter nin faked his death? And that same hunter nin was a boy looking like a girl called Haku, and he could use an ice-based bloodline limit? He approached me passing for a civilian, Sasuke shrugged. I managed to see past his act with the Sharingan analyzing his body movements, and we talked about our respective pasts. He had a pretty shitty life, and in the end, I let him go. Naruto didn't voice the fact he would have probably killed the boy to avoid further problems, but let the Uchiha continue. He and Zabuza attacked the bridge later, but Team 8 and 10 had arrived by the time and then, predictably, you wasted these two. Kakashi managed to kill Zabuza with a ball of lightning, while Kurenai was trapping him in a genjutsu. All genin ganged up on Haku, and although he almost killed Ino and Chuji, you, fighting against your pity for the boy, managed to kill him with a fireball. Then Gato got the bright idea to crash the party with an army of mercenary to kill everybody. And predictably, the Jounin butchered them all without breaking a sweat. You should have seen it. I almost felt bad for the guys, to be honest. Sasuke shrugged. The bridge was finished and called the Great Leaf's Bridge for our trouble. It's definitively a more astonishing story than mine. Depends. You participated in an operation against the second greatest missing nin of the Leaf, killed one member of his private guard, got stabbed by Orochimaru defending an ANBU and managed to live the tale about it, Sasuke resumed. It's a lot more impressive. Well, to be truthful, I kind of shot that girl in the back and burned her alive 2 seconds later. Had it been a straight duel, I think she would have kicked my ass, and getting stabbed is nothing to brag. He stopped, upon noticing a familiar pink-haired girl approaching. Sakura-san. How are you? Naruto-san. Her displeasure was clear. Judging by her eyes moving at Sasuke, she had probably planned to hang out with him and been surprised by the blonde presence. I am fine, thanks. Still angry at me for defeating you? Naruto guessed, causing her to scowl. Nothing personal, it was a bet, and I had something to gain out of it. I had nothing against you. It's not to me you should say that, she complained angrily. It's to Hinata. It actually made the blonde blink. What about Hinata? She just fainted on the spot before I could do anything. Sakura stared at him blankly. You have no idea she has a crush on you, do you? Naruto laughed at that and stopped upon realizing she was serious. Oh come on. She, the Hyuga heiress, having a crush on me? The no-name dropout? Suddenly, the fainting made sense. The girl had an abysmal lack of confidence in herself, and certainly, the fact he even approached her had been too much to bear. Yes, Haruno confirmed, the one girl that had a crush on you. And due to her loss to a no-name dropout, I was told her clan was punishing her with extra training. Naruto paled. So, I humiliated a girl with no confidence who had a crush on me and I didn't realize it until now. Dumbass. Sasuke summed it up nicely. The Hyuga compound was a nice place where to live, in Hayashi's not-so-humble opinion. It was large, peaceful, with a huge garden, ponds, and training grounds. Only Hyuga were allowed entry into this sanctuary away from the troubles inherent to great cities. Hayashi, head of the Hyuga clan, was currently overseeing his eldest daughter's session while drinking some tea. Hinata was sparring against Niji and losing badly. Not that it was surprising. Hizashi's son was a genius, and Hayashi's daughter a constant disappointment. After her humiliating defeat against the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, Hayashi had increased the pace of her training and took all her free time away. In his mind, he had been too lenient with her, and should have pushed her harder. The fact he had focused too long on Hanabi had left him blind to his eldest child's shortcomings, and he intended to correct that. If a team without chakra could defeat her so easily, then she would get killed quickly on the field, and Hayashi wouldn't lose a family member ever again. The session could have gone peacefully, but then a blonde cockroach crashed it without warning. Excuse me, the Uzumaki scoffed, appearing out of nowhere. Can I interrupt this for a few minutes? Hayashi glanced briefly at the teen in anger. How could he have passed the security so easily? What were the guards doing? What do you want, Uzumaki? He asked icily, while Hinata suddenly stared down like a beaten puppy, and Niji exchanged polite nods with the newcomer. I would like to apologize to your daughter for what happened last time we crossed paths, he replied, bowing deeply before Hinata, much to her shock. Please excuse me, it wasn't nice on my part. While his daughter was too astonished to reply anything and blushed heavily, Hayashi glared at him. You attacked my daughter in broad daylight, for a bet of all things. Be happy the Hokage convinced me not to take actions against you for this. The blonde cringed. You're alright. It is good you realize your mistake, but you should be punished for your immature behavior, and learn to consider the consequences of your actions. As a father, I will give you this lesson. Hayashi set his tea aside. Since you have illegally entered clan grounds, I, as the clan head, challenge you to a duel. If the blonde was surprised or intimidated, he didn't show it. In fact, he seemed to expect it. Where and when? He asked. In 2 hours, at the stadium for the Chunin exams, the clan head replied, intending to punish him in front of as many people as he could. Refusing to be present will equal to a surrender. No way, Naruto narrowed his eyes. Clan head or not, I'm going to. Hayashi-sama, Niji cut in. May I be allowed to speak with this dropout before the fight? Hayashi nodded and dismissed them both with a hand gesture. The Hyuga prodigy took upon himself to bring back his rival to the gate, before speaking bluntly. Surrender. You cannot win. Of course I can, Naruto replied infuriated. He's a clan head, yes, but he's all about the gentle fist. Against me, this is. It will be useless until he decides to target the organs, the prodigy shot back. Due to your lack of chakra pathway system, none of us Hyuga can paralyze you or defeat you by closing your tenketsu, but we can surgically inject our chakra in your organs, without relying on the pathways. It is far less precise, and as such, more dangerous. Naruto scowled but said nothing, letting his friend continue. Without a pathway to direct our chakra, these strikes cause internal damage which can be permanent. Hayashi will not hesitate to resort to this when he realizes he cannot defeat you the cleaner way. Hence, since he's a jounin, surrender, or your entire career might end in 2 hours. The blonde's expression had progressively worsened. You can do that too, isn't it? He accused him. You were holding back all along. Why? For the same reason I hold back against Lee and Tenten. Because I might accidentally cripple you permanently if I get too careless. Niji locked eyes with his friend. Look, you're a failure, but you are also dear to my heart. It won't be my fate to end you. Naruto stayed silent, before grinning. Ah, so you do care about me. The blonde gave him a light tap to the back. Well, then I will have to go straight to Plan B. Niji blinked in surprise. Plan B? By this point, you should know I never have just one plan. He glared at the genin. Make no mistake, our conversation isn't over. Once I have beaten your uncle, you and I will fight, and we will see who's the strongest, and this time, no holding back. Dosu, Zaku snorted, upon seeing the town. That's the place Orochimaru-sama asked us to burn? It's not that important looking, you're missing the big picture. Had the idiot forgotten this city was under Suna's jurisdiction? The bandaged genin searched inside his bag. I waited years for this moment now, it was his turn to burn people. It's payback time, tree huggers, you should have killed me when you had the chance. Instead of burning my skin and leaving me to rot, cause I'm going to make your life miserable. How many ninjas are stationed here? Kin asked, sounding worried. 3 dozen, mostly genin on permission and a few chunin, Dosu snorted, bringing out a konoha headband and a syringe. He put the former on his forehead, and prepared the latter. At the first sign of trouble, the news will reach Suna in a heartbeat. And it's only the 3 of us? Zaku paled. That's insane. No, Dosu corrected, injecting the ooze-like product into his veins. It's only me. You two are just here to warn me should reinforcements come. As he felt the samsara filling his body, Dosu groaned. Just watch and learn. Much to Naruto's surprise, not many people were present at the stadium. He had expected at least 100 people present merely to see the hated Kyuubi reborn humiliated, and they were 3 dozen at best. Sarutobi, who had Perry sitting on his lap, an old one-armed man sitting next to him, Team Guy, Team 7, Team 8, Team 10, Cat, and finally Anko. Oh, and all the parents of the genin he beat. And Kiba's sister. It was hard to miss her. He's the guy who kicked your ass? Hana Inuzuka asked her brother. He's cute, but he doesn't look that tough, sis. Kiba whined, while Akamaru growled. He looks harmless, but he's a sneaky, cheating, arrogant bastard. Technically it is not arrogance, since he beat all of us, Shino noted. He is stronger than you, Sai nodded. Your dog is smarter than you, if you truly expected him to play fair, he said, exemplifying his lack of social skills by angering Kiba even further. Oi brat! Anko shouted. I bet 1 million Ryo on your ass. So you better show the stuff you're made of. I'm with you, Naruto-kun. Lee jumped in place. Lee! Guy clenched his fist. We must ignite the fires in him with our encouragements. Louder! Tenten cringed, quickly imitated by all of Team 10. Are they always like that? Ino asked their teammate, who nodded in a depressed manner. Finally, Hayashi entered the stadium, and, as expected, he hadn't activated the Byakugan. Perfect, the blonde thought, as the man walked into the trap, completely unaware he had lost the fight before it started. Now let's get this party started. Before we start, Hokage-sama, Naruto shouted, attracting everyone's attention, I would like to ask something to my honored opponent. There were some words in the audience, and the old man nodded. Naruto locked eyes with his opponent. Would you mind activating your Byakugan to defeat me? Think of it as a last request. Hayashi said no word, but gave a sharp nod. Ready? The Hokage asked. Start. Silently, veins pulsated around Hayashi's eyes, and he paled in horror. Here are my conditions, and they aren't negotiable. First, you surrender. Second, you swear on the Hokage's head to take no further actions against me. And thirdly, you cease to push your daughter around for having been defeated by an opponent that just beat you. You have 5 minutes before I activate them, and don't try anything rash. I will detonate them if you even fake trying to close the gap. And since this is a duel recognized by the Hokage, I will walk away free if you die or are maimed. Think wisely. Think quickly. He would have asked him to remove the seal on Niji's head as well if he could, but if Naruto were to ask too much, Hayashi would probably refuse. It will be for another time. While Hayashi's pure fury and killing intent entertained Naruto to no end, the reactions of the assistants topped it. What? Was the most common word. Sarutobi merely smiled, and the one-armed man nodded sharply. Told you he would win without lifting a finger, Anko gloated to Kurenai. I see, Cat was the first to catch on. Ingenious. What happened? Ino wondered, frowning in confusion. Easy, Shikaku Nara sneezed, having guessed the second Hayashi paled. He trapped the field before the match began. Dirty but smart. Hinata, Shino whispered softly, could you activate your Byakugan please? Tell us what your father is seeing. The girl shyly nodded and obeyed. The second her bloodline kicked in, she gasped. Hun, she took her breath. Hundreds explosive tags and dynamite. You guys can't see it because they are under 2 feet of earth, but this entire arena save the area surrounding my current location is trapped with explosives, and if they detonate, which I can cause at will with a remote detonator hidden under my heel, the entire field will blow up, while I will be relatively unharmed. Naruto smiled. So, Hyuga-sama, what do you decide? This is cheating, Sakura whispered, before her eyes widened. Wait, how did he manage to place them without it being noticeable? Certainly he got some assistance, Kakashi eyed Anko, who grinned wickedly. I see you used a Doton technique to hide them underground? Hey, there is no law against being helped trapping a field with explosives 1 hour and a half before a match begins, Naruto made a mock reverence. I'm a mere law-abiding citizen. It's not my fault if my opponent didn't think outside the box and wasn't careful enough to activate his Byakugan beforehand. As for cheating, we're shinobi. The only law is to win, and I did. The Kaiten's activation time is slower than the detonation, meaning at best you will lose a leg trying to resist. Hayashi radiated killing intent and then calmed himself, briefly narrowed his eyes, and adopted a stoic expression. Indeed, he admitted, much to Naruto's surprise, my hubris took the better of me. I should have remembered you were a shinobi, and that all shinobi are to be feared no matter how young they are. I will take this as a lesson of humility. Then, he bowed, albeit only slightly. The importance of the gesture wasn't lost on Naruto, whose jaw dropped. The reactions in the audience were similar. I hereby surrender, Hayashi said, upon straightening up, and swear on the Hokage not to take any action against you, and to be less strict with daughter from now on, for I understand now she had no chance against you from the very beginning. I see why Sandaime-sama respects you so much. Thank you was the only answer Naruto managed to muster. Damn, I didn't see it coming. Sarutobi started clapping, quickly imitated by everyone else. Then, Hayashi used a shunshin to appear next to the Hokage, and they, along with the one-armed man, began to discuss. With a hand gesture, the old man invited Anko and Kat to join them. Alright, I got the feeling this is going to blow up in my face, the blonde thought, upon leaving the field and taking the detonator with him. Upon reaching the spectator seats, he was quickly welcomed by Guy's team and Team 7. Impressive showing, Naruto. Guy shouted loudly. See, Kakashi. I have won our bet. Did you say something? The copynin asked, his nose in a Ika book. I wasn't listening. As Guy went into a long tirade about how he was the only one taking their youthful rivalry seriously, Naruto gave a light tap on Niji's back. Why not tomorrow? The Hyuga smirked. I will check the field beforehand. Congratulations, Naruto-kun. Lee gave him a thumb up. You were awesome. Congratulations on using my explosives, Tenten smirked. You must have wasted most of your stock here. Who cares? I can get new ones. Oh, and the flamethrower is awesome. Naruto grinned wickedly. Nothing can beat the scent of fires in the morning. You sound like a psycho, Sasuke sneezed. Still it, student. Anko shouted for all to hear, leaping in front of the blonde, and hugging him. I'm promoted. Promoted, you hear me? Promoted? The genin repeated. You're a jounin, how can I the ANBU? She must have been promoted to ANBU. Congratulations, crazy sensei. Congratulations for your victory, Naruto Uzumaki, Kat added, upon using a shunshin to appear next to him. No doubt you will earn your promotion soon enough. Damn, they're such show-offs. His eyes snapped wide. Did you say my promotion? Anko chuckled, upon tightening her embrace. You thought you could beat a jounin in front of the Hokage and not be considered for promotion? Hayashi-sama told the Hokage someone with your skills shouldn't stay a genin any longer, and Sandaime-sama agreed. Kat locked eyes with him. Danzo Shimura, the ANBU commander, said he was favorably impressed by your shinobi view of a fight and that he had underestimated your potential, and said he would consider adding his vote to the proposition. You might become a chunin of Konoha very soon, although you will stay under Anko-san's tutelage as part of a two-man squad regardless of your rank. Between the shock of the news and the lack of air caused by Anko's hugging, Naruto didn't find the strength to react beside short nods. Alright, let's go to the nearest bar to celebrate. The snake lady released her student, who fell on the ground, gasping for air. My pay, Sarutobi watched, amused, as Anko seized her apprentice in happiness. I am surprised you finally accepted her promotion, he told Danzo, once the two away from everybody else. Since my experimental seal can contain Orochimaru's, I see no reason to exclude her anymore. Danzo adopted a calculating look. Imagine if we managed to pierce the secret of the cursed seal. By combining it with my own, we could. I refuse to sacrifice 9 of our shinobi for one success, Sarutobi cut in, especially since the side effects are unpleasant. Point taken. Danzo observed Naruto. I admit I underestimated his potential. If he could learn true discipline, he would become a welcome addition to our forces eventually. Sarutobi raised an eyebrow, and his old friend elaborated. He has the intelligence, I will not deny it, and quite inventive, but he lacks wisdom, and is blind to the consequences of his actions in the long run. He is lucky Hayashi is wise enough to take his loss well, or your protege might have suffered retributions no matter the man's promises. He needs more maturity and foresight, and I am afraid Mitarashi will not teach it to him. We cannot allow him to become a chunin until he wises up, but I am no longer opposed to a future promotion. Hence, why you accepted Anko's entry in the ANBU, Sarutobi guessed. As her apprentice, he will inevitably spend time with the group's members. Oh, I had a better idea in mind. The Warhawk smiled. It was brief, and out of character, putting the Sandaime on edge. Akatsuki has become a threat too large to be ignored. It needs special attention. He turned to face the Hokage. I think it is time we create a new division. Fires were consuming the city, and smoke filled Zaka's lungs. Yet, it could barely hide the scent of fresh blood and burning flesh. Then, crossing the gates, he returned. He was barely recognizable. His clothes were red and dirted, and his breath was heavy, but it was him. Dosa Zaka shyly asked. Are you alright? Zaka the monstrosity grinned, with fangs instead of teeth. I'm just getting started. What if Naruto White Snake Sage Konoha? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.